Hello and welcome to the Assetto Corsa Competizione Sim Series Solo Endurance Championship. I think it's a cup, but championship will do. We are at Silverstone for the second round, and it's been a while, this being only a monthly series, so we're going to have to remember what happened last time and remember how this all goes. We have GT3s and GT4s, and alongside me today I have Lars Kastrup. How are you, Lars?
Very surprised to be here, as I am subbing in for our regular Lunatics.
Yep, absolutely. The stream overlays have been absolutely flawlessly edited, so that you can't tell. Can't tell that there's any difference at all. Once again, for this event, as we did last week, we have the Pitwall Live channel going. So if there is, it works. If there is exclamation mark timings in the chat, you can have a look at that there. You can get the stream up on there. You can just see the timings. It's fantastic, you know?
Yeah.
It's a good introduction. Love the UI.
And we got it for free, and that's the important part.
That is the best part. Absolutely. Yeah. That is the best and most important thing. So, today we have 2 classes and multiple splits within the classes even. We have GT4s and GT3s. It's been a while since we've seen the GT4s around here at all. And love some multi-class racing. What's your opinions on multi-class racing, Lars? Are you a big fan? Are you annoyed by having to pass GT4s or being passed by GT3s?
As a usual GT4 driver, I absolutely hate getting passed, but as a GT3 driver, I love it.
Absolutely.
But I mean, at least this time it looks like we're going to have a dry race, so it's going to be less shenanigans and more actual overtaking.
Hopefully, absolutely. And we are at Silverstone, the home of British GP, whatever it is that they call it. And Silverstone is a fantastic track. Big fan of Silverstone. Lots of great places to overtake. Got some driving sections where you just got to get pace out of the car and there's no way past, but each one is followed by a nice racing section where you can dive in on the side of someone. What's your opinion on Silverstone, Lars?
I'd love the track a lot more if it didn't have maggots and baggots. But there are a lot of those corners where you have to rely on the car's weight balance to actually keep you on the track and not crashing. The too slow, I wouldn't even call them hairpins, but the left-right ones.
Yeah.
Throughout the final straights, those are. If we removed all the bad corners, it would be a great track. But that's just my opinion, you know.
Fair enough. And talking about maggots and Beckett's and how people can love or hate that, I'm a big fan of maggots and Beckett's, but it is going to be scary for a lot of people in this event because the GT4s have to take it a lot smoother through there with their lower aero and less grip, and so they have to brake a lot more. And I'm sure we're going to see some rear endings happening.
There is not room to go around there.
Nope.
Zero room. So we're going to see a crash there. I bet it.
Absolutely not. And so we're going to quickly have a look at this track map that has been supplied to us by good old Dan Terry. If I click on the right thing, here we go. This is Silverstone coming out of the pits through Maggots and Beckett's. Obviously, we used the GT pits here. Stowe and Club, fantastic set of corners. It's actually Vale that is the second corner there. It's a fantastic set of corners for overtaking. You can really go side by side through Vale and get a nice run into Club. The whole village section in the centre is a bit of a tricky one. That's a part that a lot of people don't love too much. That really tight left-hander into a super fast left-hander down the Wellington Straight. And then you end up with my least favourite corner on the track, which is Luffield right at the end, which is this sort of constant radius, slow right-hander that you need to get the accelerator on pretty early, but it's really hard to judge because...
Especially if you haven't actually balanced the car at the Brooklands.
Absolutely.
Because you're going full weight on the right side of the car to full weight on the left side of the car. And that's difficult.
That is definitely tricky, as we have a lot of tricky points on this track. Gonna see how long there is. 3 minutes left of our practice, which is going on right now, and then we will be hopping into qualifying.
Split qualifying.
Split qualifying, as with our main series, but this time obviously split between GT4 and GT3 rather than classes. And as is the tradition, the slower class will be going out first. So the first we'll be seeing is the GT4 cars out. And then obviously we will have later today the stream for the pro split of our regular championship series as well. So we have a full day of racing on this channel, which is really exciting. So it's good to see all of you here. Good to see all of you here joining in with us. And we're going to be here for a long time. So I hope a lot of you don't have anything to do today.
Or if you do, that will cancel it.
Yeah, absolutely. No live stewarding today. We're going to have stewarding done after the race, so we won't see any penalties popping up throughout, which can be good because I remember last time there was a lot of red on our screen as we got further through the race.
There was, yeah. There was. A race that I unfortunately missed because my connection died 2 minutes before the flag. Yes. I would love to crash into someone there.
We've had a few people talking about issues with getting into the Endurance Championship. Shane Thomas earlier was mentioning that he had some connection issues with his wheel earlier, and so he's updated his firmware to make sure that doesn't happen because he's absolutely does not want to lose force feedback halfway through the race. The last endurance race I did with ACCSS, I lost sound just before the race, which is a similar sort of issue. You don't want to be driving in silence for 2 hours.
I'm just going to get the list here because we are a pretty reduced field today, actually. I'm counting 34 cars so far. And there were some pretty good reasons why people got what's called sidelined today. Let's go. Here's my favorite one. Florian Lupius. His wheel just flat out broke.
That's awkward timing. That's not
terrible time.
That's not what you want to see. Yeah, we have 35 people in the server so far. So a decent grid. Not quite as big as a lot of our regular season grids can be this season. Hopefully that will keep it a bit calmer for us.
Yeah, I mean, 2.5 hours, they'll have time to crash into each other anyway.
Yes.
Well, they'll lab each other.
Plenty of time for incident.
Plenty of time.
As we are going to hop into the practice server now and see how people have been getting on.
Excellent idea.
So here we are in the practice server. We can see the timetable, which is showing us that Steve Hughes has come at the top of the table so far in his Bentley. He, I believe, won the last race as well, or at least came very high up. People were talking a lot about that last time. He wasn't so confident that he'd do as well in the wet, but he's clearly putting in the lap times here. The only driver in practice to have a lap time below 2 minutes.
A long time to set that time. For most of the session, it's been Clark who's actually been the fastest time, and he was ruling the session pretty hard until a few minutes ago.
And those times will only improve as the track improves itself fast at the moment. We then have Nicholas Alvarado, our keyboard and mouse hero, back in his trusty Aston Martin. He hasn't been doing so well in the Honda in our regular series, but back into a car that he knows a lot better. Hopefully we can see him doing very well in this.
And this is a good Aston track too.
Absolutely. Shane Thomas, another one in the Aston, one of our band drivers, has been driving in the Invitational split in our Pro split. You should see him there later today. And then Mika Maninka, a crowd favourite, lovely driver, in the Nissan. So showing up some strength for the Godzilla there, with Daniel Terry, the winner of this week's AM race, in his Aston Martin in 6th position.
Yeah. And if we look further down, if I can just scroll a bit, I don't know if he's actually present today. He is not, but I was gonna mention one of the top 3 drivers yesterday. Except they're not here, so that goes.
Yeah. Well, unfortunate. We've got a lot of GT4s in here, obviously, and as some people in the stream may have noticed, a special surprise visit to our stream to our other Saturday commentator. So we have both of them here. It's Paul Glover.
My favorite for today.
Fantastic
the man
livery.
With the face. Fantastic. Truly the king of beers and people.
So obviously many of you will have seen that we have no liveries next season. We are stopping with that. Oh, fantastic. We can sit on board as we roll around. But we still have liveries for the Solo Endurance Cup as it continues, and for the rest of this season, which is only one more race after this weekend.
On Suzuka, no less.
Very fun track.
So yeah, track is fast again, with 21 degrees of ground temperature and 15 degrees of ambient temperature. I expect it to go optimum during the GT3 session in a moment, or in 15 minutes.
Absolutely. We have seen in some of our championship rounds, we've seen the track get optimum even within the amateur qualifying, but we do have a few more cars on the grid in that. So it will definitely be slightly delayed compared to that.
Now, I said that Florian Lupias had a broken wheel, but I'm currently looking at him on the track. I don't know if wheels can make a miraculous recovery, but apparently they have.
Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see if he crashes anyway, because a broken wheel is not fun.
No, absolutely not. Hopefully it's just broken something that he can deal with, or that he can do a quick restart to get things right again, as we see Bloomfield about to come around and start the end of the lap again.
I'm mostly seeing Paul, but
yeah. We've gotta keep Paul in our sights.
In our hearts.
Yes, of course.
Go, final corner.
Alright, and now we will get into a proper onboard camera to watch our boy Ashley Bloomfield in the Aston Martin coming around the first corner. Sharp brake into a reasonably fast corner. You've got to get on the acceleration very early and you're not braking very far, but you've got to be careful not to go out too far onto the out track out there, or you will lose your lap. Lift into this first part of Maggots and then brake before Beckett's. You swing round, and quite early on in the corner at the apex of Beckett's, basically you can be on full throttle, and then Chapel basically isn't a corner nowadays. You just throw it directly through there under the bridge, coming up to my favourite section of the track, Stowe and Vale. Stowe is this first corner that you take reasonably fast, but not super fast. And it's a corner that can have a lot of lines when you're racing. You can swing around the outside and keep a bit more momentum, or cut on the inside and have the tighter line. And that battle will be finished off here. A tight, slow left-hander of Vale. Then go through Club, which is all about getting all the power as early as possible, because it looks like two corners, but it's basically one corner, and the second apex you just hit full speed onto the Hamilton Straight, as it is now known, the Grand Prix start straight. A bit like the first straight that we use on the national straight, but a little bit slower. And then you come round to the infield section, which is a section, a love-hate section for many people. Very slow into the first part, incredibly slow through this second part of the hairpin, setting up as much as possible for a quick run through Aintree. Lars said, not the best line here from Bloomfield, but it's a very tricky part of the track, so we'll definitely see a lot of time made and lost there. And now towards Luffield in the last section, you've got to brake quite a lot down here to prepare yourself for Luffield. Ooh, that is invalidated lap time right there as we move into Luffield. It is
a difficult break. It is a difficult zone to break into. As absolutely. I'm now getting told that we have an incident somewhere on the track. Actually, several.
Ooh, car 256 right in the center of the track had an issue. Julio Rodriguez. Fortunately, with liveries, we cannot look back at the replay because it will take our entire lives.
It will take more than our entire lives.
Yep. Julio Rodriguez in the Mercedes. GT4 Mercedes. Obviously, there is not a little Bentley. Otherwise, I'm sure he would be in there. Yeah, we'll have a look.
I think it's a little Bentley.
Yes, it's sort of a bit of a tautology, isn't it? But we only have 2 lap times set so far from our GT4s as we look at this fantastic Aston livery in the background. I'm a big fan of that. But Ryan Ware, as Lars said, coming in with the strongest lap time to start off with. About 10 seconds down from where we expect our GT3 lap times to be, which is reasonable in the GT4s. That's sort of where you expect them to be. So we'll see maybe a little bit of improvement as Hudson, Victor Janba, and Zach Morgan are our other 3 drivers to set times so far.
I want to give a quick shout out to Vanchik because he's driving the Camaro, and I know we have 2 people driving the Camaro, but I think he was the first one to pick it.
Absolutely, big fan of that big chuggy American muscle car. It's good to see it. Very bright livery.
Interesting is one way of putting it, but yeah.
Absolutely. He roars down the straight towards Stowe. Let's get a closer camera angle. There we go. You see the big chuggy monster. Another car I want to shout out.
Sorry.
No problem. Another car I like to shout out is the Ginetta in the hands of Adam Rayner. Another interesting car, a lot different to the GT3s we get here, so good to see more of them out on track.
Also should be a fine track for it because it's not a top speed track, of which the Ginetta has none.
Yep, there are only a few places where you will really reach those big speeds. It's a high-speed track, but not the absolute peak speeds that you get on some of the big straights, so that will be good for him. There's not too many sort of really twiddly slow sections, but there are a couple, and he can make up some good time in the loop and Vale and perhaps Luffield.
It's looking. I'm seeing we don't have our Expo buddy on here tonight, so.
Oh,
So
unfortunately,
that would have been a very twitchy car.
Yes. I'm not sure there are any tracks the Expo is good on, sadly.
That's on the car, not on the driver. As we're now seeing, Iverson, our also another band guy, is now in the lead. With a 2.99.
Really, Iverson in the Porsche there, as you see, sort of getting a bit side by side with that McLaren there, is choosing to avoid that lap, but a very strong start for him. Ryan Ware still on his original 2:10. And Lupiaz and Bloomfield have both also set 2-minute 10s. As Bloomfield's actually coming up through the middle of the track on quite a flyer right now. 3 temps up, so
If he can keep it.
if he can keep this could throw him up a position. A little bit too far behind the leaders with that amount of time, unless he can get a really good run through Luffield.
It's fine so far.
Slower in the mid corner, which is normally okay because it means you can pull a better exit, but
I think it's fine. I think it's fine.
you can see there in Luffield, that is one of the things that is going to come up again and again in this qualifying section, is that that last corner is real tricky, real easy to lose gain time, real hard to do it super consistently, and so you will absolutely see people who are up on their times losing all of their times into that section. We're watching Victor Janba now in his fantastic liveried BMW. Absolutely hate this car, awful to drive, but the livery is very good.
It's awful, but I like it because it feels so misplaced in this game. You have all these great touring cars, and then you just have a regular touring car.
Yes.
It's in the wrong game.
It definitely does feel like that, and it drives like a touring car as well, as he comes over for a huge improvement. Will jump him up a few places. Put up to fifth.
I personally find that it kind of drives like the Nissan GT3, because you can throw that car around as well.
Oh, Victor Janba actually had his time cancelled for cutting the course there, so he did improve by over a second on that lap, showing he has a lot of time to give.
It would have been P5 if it had counted.
Absolutely, and P5 right now is Hudson in this Aston Martin, who is coming through Stowe there with an improvement of his own, hopefully.
Elsewhere in the track, Ian Utley is trying again, despite having had, I think, 2 crashes already in this session.
Utley having not set a lap time yet, neither has Adam Rayner, so they've still got a few minutes of session left. Yes. Oh, Paul Glover is here. Paul Glover, as you are here, I just need to quickly re-show this livery just to make sure it has been seen by the man himself. A wonderful, glorious shout out to the man himself, Paul Glover.
Please win, Paul. Please win.
Come past this car on track, Paul. Please do not knock it off.
Please no Ponderino.
I wish there was a quicker way to set this camera up, because I quite like it as a sort of, once in a while aesthetic camera. It's not good to see any of the action, of course, but...
It's terrible for seeing anything, but it's fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Daniel Bradford is the only driver right now who is up on his time, up 7 tenths so far, which could put him up into the 212s in a decent position with the rest of the group. Would love to see some of these more interesting cars pushing their way up the board a little bit. Of course, all the interesting cars are in AM, unfortunately.
They are, yes, but I mean, I just wanted to see someone drive the Maserati.
That's the manly move right there.
That's a manly move. No traction control, no fear.
Oh, and a big wiggle there from Daniel Bradford on the exit of that corner. Loses a lot of his time. He's still going to improve and might gain a position. He does not.
Well, better luck next time. Adam Rayner has set a time that's 58 seconds down.
Yes.
That's impressive.
Yeah, I saw that on the mini-map as he was finally getting to complete his first lap. He spun on the exit of Luffield, loud pedaled it, and that's why his time is so incredibly far down compared to the rest. That's fantastic image right there. The two Chuggy Chungus on track at the same time.
Two Chungers.
Big boys.
I think Ian Utley might actually sit a lap now. Nah, he didn't. I've been watching him for several laps now, and he has some massive brake locking issues.
That's something that's going to be very hard to keep consistency if you are stuck with that.
I mean, he just keeps leaving brake marks every other corner. Which is sad, because I actually like the guy. I want to see him do well.
Absolutely.
So we got what? 1 lap left of GT4 qualifying. As we just catch Ian going completely sideways.
I wanted to watch him as he finally got a strong lap time in, but unfortunately we're not going to see that.
It's not happening.
At least for him, he will only be sent to the back of the GT4 field. It would be a lot more dangerous if you do that as a GT3. I'm hoping all of our GT3s can manage to set lap times. As most of our GT4 drivers are still in the pits now. We've just got these last few coming over the line. Bradford not improving on his time. About 2 seconds down, so not a good lap for him. Next car to come over the line will be Rodrigo Iverson. Won't be Rodrigo Iverson because he has binned it.
He just parked.
Ashley Bloomfield then is the next guy going to do it.
That's the one I was going to suggest.
He's on his time right now. So we'll flip over to the basic HUD so we can just see he can make it in the last couple of corners.
Good line so far. Double apex.
Absolutely fantastic last corner.
We'll see the time in a few seconds.
Has quite a way up to make up to these top two, so he's not going to move up. But a fantastic lap nonetheless. Then the last one to watch is Ashley Bloomfield. As you can see on the mini-map there, that all of the GT3s have left the pits to come around for their flying lap.
Oh, they have.
This is a rub, yeah.
A big improvement from Ashley Hudson. This is going to shoot him up a few places. Actually might manage to put him in third, just ahead of Bloomfield with this huge improvement, even coming through to the last corner. 211.1. Oh, he was actually a second down. There's quite a big gap there then between Lupiez and Hudson. I didn't realize.
Bradford is still on the track. That's actually a... I don't know if he started his lap before the counter or
as long as he goes into the pits on this lap, then this is fine. If he tries to go for another lap, he's going to get in trouble.
No, because I think he started his lap before the 15-minute mark, so I think it's legit.
Oh, possibly. Possibly.
And, yeah. But then he'll definitely have to park the car.
He's very close to his thing, so he might try and go for the improvement. Yeah, he'll have to return to pits video game style, because he obviously cannot be driving around slowly while the GT3s are trying to do their lap. And just on the last corner, doesn't quite make it, unfortunately. Very close to his lap time, so good consistency there. But not going to be taking the crown of the amateur split from Zach Morgan as he dives off the line. And we are going to swap to car 620, which is Justin Clerk, to watch our first full lap in the GT3s.
It's a very interesting livery, actually.
Have to have it. That red and black split. Oh, and it's got a little gold nose, kind of like the original VAR livery back in the day. The Zip.
You know that better than I do.
Absolutely. It looks like he's definitely been following our friend Stefan Bunetix's livery advice, because this is a very Stefan Bunetix livery with the sort of digital camo sort of patchwork under the colours. That would make sense. It looks like a very Stefan livery.
Yeah. If you excuse me for a second.
Absolutely.
I have to get one thing.
So we are watching Justin Clerk now, coming through the Hamilton Straight. Going to be rolling into the mid-sector. Right behind him in the distance, you can see there our friend Nicholas Alvarado, the keyboard and mouse master. Coming into the last few corners, I'm interested in what this this delta is choosing between. Is this practice time, perhaps? Because normally when we have our latter class does it by pole, but he must be faster than pole, right? Because pole so far is GT4s. Yeah. So there he goes. He hops up. It must have been counting towards practice time of some sort, because he has a 1:59.7.
It's a good lap time.
Holy, that's big. Dan Terry coming through. Oh, it's Dan Terry behind. My apologies. I said the wrong name there, but Dan Terry. No, it was Nicholas Alvarado behind. I was right, but he didn't set a lap time. He must have cancelled his lap.
2:40. It's only the same number. And then 6:20 leading.
Absolutely. So here, so far, we can see obviously the drivers with the little blue triangle in their name are our GT4 drivers. So we have a good amount of GT3s setting lap times. 3 classes in the GT3s. Pro, Silver, and Am. So Clerk and Dan Terry of the Silver drivers so far leading the way with times. It's going to be interesting to see how this develops, actually, because the Pro and Silver labels worked so perfectly in GT4. But in GT3 it might be interesting because a lot of these people have been driving GT3s every week, and it's obviously been over a month since our last Solo Endurance Championship race.
Yeah, I think the classifications might be a bit off. But, I mean, we see the same thing in the league races, where last night we had double AM victory for Ollie Henley. And that was in front of better guys. Well, on paper, better guys.
Michael Lueck here in the fantastically patriotic American flag livery.
I believe we went with Luca, I think the name was.
Luca, okay. I'll do my best to remember that. Tonio Seradri, I probably butchered your name as well. Welcome to ACCSS. I hope you can join us for some of our races. This is the Solo Endurance Championship, which happens about once a month. We have the regular championship, which is coming to a close next weekend and will be restarting after Christmas in the new year. And then we have our community races. We also, of course, have the 10 Days of Christmas event lineup, which is coming out. We're going to have a ton of throwback races to some of the original ACCSS races, and a day of Assetto Corsa action, as well as next Tuesday we're going to have Assetto Corsa action in the Audi TTs. Going to be a good fun. I still have to make a poster for that.
Interrupt you, I'm afraid.
Go ahead.
Here's what happened. First, Clerk set a fast lap. Literally a second less, Alvarado set a 158.0.
Holy. And Alvarado, of course, our keyboard and mouse master.
Quite literally, we don't get how he does it.
Gonna sit in his cockpit to have a watch of him, because this is with keyboard and mouse. And he's so incredibly smooth. It's massively impressive to see. So a huge time 158 flat. He's also been complaining recently that he doesn't understand how to go fast around Brands Hatch, and he doesn't think he's going to do very well later today in the Pro Series, but that clearly isn't a problem here when he's in the Aston Martin, the car he likes, and on a track that he knows better.
He should know it. We've practiced it. We've practiced and raced it a lot in ACC.
Yes. Especially early on. Used to do this track a hell of a lot.
A hell of a lot.
We have Nicholas Norberg, one of our stewarding crew, coming in to set an improvement to his lap. 1.1 seconds up so far. See how much of that he can hold or how much more he can gain through very tricky Luffield corner. Up so far. But can he get a good exit of the corner? It looks like he had a little wiggle there in the middle. He's still up, but there is time to gain still in that corner as he comes across the line for a big improvement. Jumps up to 7th. Benjamin Horriot about to come through and do the same. 2 seconds up on his time, but his initial time was a good bit slower, so he jumps up, but not so high. Gets into the top 10, which is good to see for the McLaren. We can see also just from the car picks that this championship started before the big BOP adjustments, because it's very much the classic car picks with a lot of Astons, McLarens, and Porsches in here. Not the variety we get. Yes.
No Ferrari Evos.
Nope. Neither of the new Evo cars that came in with Imola. And obviously not the new balancing, which has made so much more competitive options in our regular championship.
I mean, we got now we have what, 3 guys, 2 guys in the 3 guys in the 158 territory, and 2 guys in the 159, and those are going to be our ones to watch today, I think.
And Dan Terry's time is fantastic. I'm just going to open up the timetable so you can all see it well. Dan Terry has an exactly 2 minutes flat.
It's pretty impressive.
Very satisfying. I like that. I hope he doesn't improve. Bit of weirdly on-track action going on here between Clerk and one of the Porsches.
It's important to fight for position now, he said. But everyone has set a lap so far, with the last one being Oliver Hamon, who also had a pretty bad day yesterday in the Silver Sprint Series. Not only did he start from the pits, but he was also involved in some crashes.
Absolutely. Hopefully he can have a cleaner race today. Good to see none of our GT3s are going to have to start behind the GT4s, as our big boy Steve Hughes comes up over the line and takes 2nd position with a 158.3. Our 4th driver, oh no, he actually just improved from 3rd, my bad.
Yeah.
But down a lot of time there. He was at a 158.9 and is now at a 158.3.
I want to take a few moments to talk about Leonard Schimmel, who is currently the slowest Pro GT3 car. he's 4 seconds down and not trying to improve it, actually. I don't know if that's a tactical choice, but it's a mysterious choice if you ask me.
Absolutely, you would expect to keep trying to push at the end, but perhaps he knows what his qualifying pace is and doesn't believe he can improve it. The Shane Thomas, who is the next driver to have a chance of improving his lap time coming through left field. And he goes fastest, 1:57.8. Oh. Huge job by Shane to dive ahead of everyone else in the competition. Justin Clerk, the next one who's above his lap time. He could become our 4th driver into the 158s. And he does so, 1:58.9.
According to my display, the track is still only optimum. No, wait, it is optimum now. It says fast on the pit wall. Still interesting. But, I mean, we haven't seen the last fast lap time, because I think they have one more lap in them.
Yep, the tarmac has definitely improved recently, because we can see almost everyone on the track right now is improving their times. Actually, Paul Glover gaining some at the end of that lap is going to come through with an improvement to his time. He's 7th so far. He's going to go 2 temps up, which could put him ahead of Trifunovic, and it does, up into 6th. Dan Terry seems to have lost a lot of his improvement. He went just 75 hundredths slower than his last time. Jesper Eriksson, the next driver to come, is just slightly slower than his original time. Before Keith Griffel, someone who was doing incredibly well in our amateur split, fighting for the win with Dan Terry in both races.
Although you can't see that because he's 14 positions down.
Yeah, definitely hasn't been doing as much on Silverstone as we see Mika Maninka, everyone's favourite, coming across the line. Looking for a few tenths improvement. Up 1 position. Oh, and here we have Chris Meadows about to cross the line in 16th place, jumps up to 10th. That was a big improvement from him.
He was a slow starter in this case. So, qualifying is about to end. I will let you take it through it as I finish my meal here.
Absolutely, people just going through their last laps now. The Andrew Hearn and someone else just here about to cross the lap. Andrew Hearn actually diving in because he was not improving. So the next car who has a chance to improve is Paul Glover, but it looks like he's already lost a lot of his time there. Can he get a good run through Luffield to get the advantage? He keeps it. Good job. So that's going to be a slight improvement for him. That does jump him ahead of Dan Terry as he rounds the last corner, but Dan Terry is rounding the last corner himself with a similar improvement. Oh, did he actually lose it there right near the end? Oh no, he did get an improvement, but that lap time does not count as his bets, which means he had a track cut earlier on. And that is why he slowed over the line, because he knew he would be getting his improvement. 75? Can't see it. I'm blind. There he is. It was Martin Roundtree. Just finished. So, turning to the garage and having a look at our timetable. We have Shane Thomas, who has taken pole in this race, followed by Nicholas Alvarado, our keyboard and mouse hero, and Steve Hughes, who's been very good in these endurance races so far. Justin Clerk then comes in 4th and is in the lead of the silver split, followed by Dan Terry and Drazen Trifunovic. We then have or Paul Glover, Dan, Terry, and Trifunovich. Sorry, Terry. Paul. I forgot you there. Horiot, Maninka, Hearn, rounding out your top 10 with
Ericsson.
Benjamin.
Meadows. Yeah.
Dag.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's a difficult one.
Benjamin, for now, we'll call him. He is leading the amateur split ahead of Ray Birch and Merle, and then down to our GT4s. We have Rodrigo Iverson, Ryan Ware, and Ashley Bloomfield leading the pros. Zach Morgan, Daniel Bradford, and Rodriguez leading your AMs.
So yeah, 35 guys, one track. Should be good.
Absolutely, should be a good fun time. And we have now obviously finished our qualifying. We're going to hop onto the grid soon.
Any moment now. We don't know how long it's been set for. I think it's 3 minutes and then 4 minutes of waiting again.
Yeah. So as we'll just quickly, as we're waiting to get onto the grid, run through, have a look at all of these splits here and see how they were doing.
It's an excellent idea.
Oh, they actually split it up by splits. And then just have the 3 and GT.
Yeah.
That GT4 looks very nice, with the whites all followed by the reds.
Very, very beautiful. Very organized, right?
Yeah, nice and neat.
Just
unlike
don't look at
this mess.
Yeah. I'm just being told that we haven't actually mentioned the success penalties yet.
That is true. We have not. Drivers in this championship will have success penalties. I believe we will see them thrown on in the race
now,
because they
actually.
are time penalties. Oh, just now. That's good.
Yeah.
So Chris Meadows, you can see. He got a 5 second. Ray Birch is getting a 5 second.
This is in the style of the British DC Championship, I think.
Yep.
That gives out time penalties.
Bloomfield getting a 5 second pit time penalty for the G4s. There we go. The 10 second for Steve Hughes for winning.
Winning overall, and 5 seconds for the class winners and the runner-ups, I think.
Well, there we go. 10 seconds for Terry. I think every class might have a 10 and a 5. It's been over a month since we last did this, so as you can tell, we're not.
We tested it once.
We're not fully remembering this. We have, there we go, the 10 seconds and the 5 seconds on Ryan Ware and Ashley Bloomfield. In the AMs, Zach Morgan with a 5 second, and we'll see who gets the 10 second. I remember. Oh, he gets the 10 second, so the 5 second.
He won his class, yeah.
5 second will be coming in for, I vaguely think, Rodriguez.
I admit I do not actually remember the results. But these penalties will be served in the first pit stop.
Yep, there are 2 mandatory pit stops with mandatory tyre changes in each one. And as we wait for that last pit to come in, I'm going to do the customary track walk. I started way too far at the back.
That up, I'll just say that while we don't have live steering today, we do still have the game giving out pit lane speeding and track cut drive-throughs.
Absolutely. So on pole, we have a very old school looking lineup here. Shane Thomas, Nicholas Alvarado, both in the Aston Martins that were so dominant in our first series. Steve Hughes in the Big Bentley, good to see him on the second row, along with Clark in an Audi. Nice to see a car that we wouldn't have seen so much in the past. Glover and Terry on the next row, 2 of our head honchos working here to keep this thing running. Trifunovich and Horio on the next lows. That's the first McLaren we've seen followed almost immediately by Hearn and Maninka in the Godzilla GTR. Ericsson and Meadows are following behind, leading to Orberg and Agnior. Benjamin. Birch then with Queen on his bumper. Good to see. And Merlane in a fantastic liveried Porsche. Then Shungle and Roundtree, Griffel and Luca is how we were saying it. And Hamo and Webb rounding out our GT3s before we get to Ryan Ware and Rodrigo Iverson leading our GT4s. Ashley Blumfield and Lupiaz on the second row with another face that God should save on the front of his car. Hudson and Martins coming up behind him. Victor Yanba and Morgan. And then we get the big chug boys. Actually, the BMW is quite a big chug boy. He probably fits into the crew. But we have the Chevrolets alongside Rodriguez and Reyna. That's Wanzek and Bradford. And Otley is going to be finishing off our grid.
God bless you, Otley. Keep trying.
The only driver to not set a qualifying time. So hopefully he can make up some positions in the race. As we have said this, we can now see this whole big glorious grid, and they are about to set off on their parade lap, and we are about to take a short break, show you some highlight.
That is an excellent idea.
They're both off and follow the leader a little bit. What's happening? Oh, what's going to happen here then? The back marker has held up. Not and boom.
Has finished the race.
And where wins? Where wins it on the line, ladies and gentlemen? 4/1000th of a second.
No.
That drift, you kept it. Oh, there's carnage at the exit of the pit lane. There's 6 cars. He's being blocked by a tree. There's 6 cars in the race.
Cantia goes for the dive, does not make it. Oh, and that's not a pass.
That's not a pass.
anymore. Anyway, we need to come back.
Yep, we are coming back to the game now. Hello, everybody, and welcome back. We are in Silverstone for round 2 of our endurance. Ignore that in the bottom left. That would have been effort to fix, so that's just wrong. It's fine, don't worry. We're about to go green.
And we are green.
Here we go. That Audi immediately diving down the inside of the two Aston Martins and pushes both of them into spins. Oh, that was a bad start. Shane manages to catch it, but there's chaos behind.
Yeah, we got absolute chaos in the behind. It's the big one. It's the big one.
It is the big one. Lots of people taking to the pit lane to try and get back from that. People spinning as they try to return. It's an absolute nightmare.
I mean, I think half the GT4s were hit by it.
I don't think that was the big one, Lars. I think that was multiple big ones back to back.
That was, as I said, I think a dozen cars were involved. We'll have to see what the timing beam says.
Absolutely, a bit hard to see here. I believe, although ACC timing is not going to let us know for quite a while with such a chaotic start, but it looks like this is Shane Thomas in the lead, just followed by Stephen Hughes. What have you got to tell me, Lars?
Clark and Hearn has taken to the pits. Okay,
so we've got some early stoppers. Try and get one of those stops out of the way early and absolutely fill up. I assume.
We got more shenanigans in, I don't know what's called, club? Not club. More people hitting each other in the back.
Absolutely. So we still have some slightly confused timing because we obviously have cars in the pit, but as we can see as they pass the next timing beam, that means Thomas and Hughes are in the lead. I was correct. And actually, I'll have to correct myself. They are not coming in early to stop to fix their damage because they obviously haven't cleared a whole lap. They have been towed, as the metaphor goes.
That's a lap down already. It might actually be 2 laps down already.
So you can see we have this sort of pack at the start of GT4s with this nice fight for the lead between Hughes and Thomas to lead it off. Thomas going defensive into this first corner, both of them trying to get a good run into here. And then after our first run of GT4s, we get down to Rodrigo Iverson in the Porsche, who is leading our GT4s. But as you can see slightly further back, there are GT3s all throughout this field of GT4s, so there's going to be a lot of chaotic lapping happening here right at the back.
If you look at the pits, you're going to see a train of cars going in.
Oh, a ton of cars is that.
At least 3 cars. Well, at least 3, maybe 4.
Yep, we've got 3 there on our screen. We can see Benjamin, Hamiao and Alvarado all diving into the pits for an early pit stop and some repairs. I'm not sure if there is a pit window in this race. I believe there might be, and so these guys are going to have to pit again 2 times, I think. We will see as they come out.
Find out.
Yeah.
We will, of course, keep you updated. Dan Terry in 3rd.
It looks like
quite a weekend.
He is. It looks like a huge amount of the GT3s who are within the GT4's pit, and that is very smart because you're obviously going to lose a lot of time trying to get past these GT4s. And so just getting out of that early on could be a good decision. Got Meadows here.
7 cars in pit. 7 cars in the pit.
Coming around a GT4 Aston Martin there. That looks like Zach Morgan, who's just been passed by the bigger brother. Chris Meadows now pulling up behind Merle. It's actually Zach Morgan pulling up behind Merle now in the Porsche, who is just ahead of him. He himself is pushing past some more GT4s.
We got a confirmation there is a pit window, so those 7 people in the pits will not count as one of the stops.
So that's going to be a big pain for them then. They have not managed to jump out of the queue, as it were. As we see Meadows right up behind Rodriguez, who is the only GT4 between him and Merle right now. So if he can get past him quickly, he can push on. He's going to roll past on this straight into the end of the lap. Up at the front, Shane Thomas still leading from Hughes. He's got some of the GT3s who have pit, however, coming up just in front of them. So we have Hamiao here as I remember to turn the nameplates off, who's going to be getting a little bit in the way of this fight for the lead.
It's so rough, yeah.
Stays out of the way nicely, lets the leaders through. It's good to see.
Probably a good idea.
As Iverson has Lupiaz in the McLaren right up on his rear end. So a fight for the lead of both of our classes so far. Or both of our car classes specifically.
Lewis Webb has a 30-second stop-and-go penalty, which I assume is for speeding in the pits.
Yep, absolutely.
Not Lewis's day.
Once again, to remind everyone who is watching, we do not have live stewarding for this race. We normally have live stewarding in ACCSS, but we did not have enough available, as we see that Ashley Bloomfield in the GT4, pretty battered GT4 there, is about to get lapped by a couple of GT3s, or not lapped, even passed for position by a couple of GT3s. The Porsche going out ahead. And these GT3s who are working their way through the field have really come up on each other. You can see just behind Ashley is another GT3 wanting to pass. And just in front of this GT3 Porsche is another GT3 Porsche. All of these fighting for position as they are now all together. Ashley has been passed by all three of them successfully.
I am seeing some GT4s taking pit stops. I believe they've been involved in accidents. The most important one being the AM class leader, Zach Morgan.
So Zach Morgan is in the pits now as we see him. Again, before the pit window has opened, so this is not going to count as one of his mandatory pit stops, although he might be able to take his penalty now. See how that works.
Yeah, he should be able to take that one at least.
Absolutely, these three now fighting for position within the GT4s. You can see Merle actually take it to the grass and trying to come back on where there was not room to do so. Is going to smash through that board there as Luerk passes that Aston Martin GT4. So not a good pass attempt there by Merlo, but he's so much faster. This Porsche in front of him, you can see that he has no rear bumper. He must have some serious damage slowing him down, because Merle made that huge mistake and then caught up again. It's going to dive through on there, so definitely that United States Porsche in there has some big issues, or he wouldn't be just getting absolutely eaten as if he's a GT4 by these other GT3s. Going into Stowe now, the Aston Martin around the outside cruises past as if he's in a different class of car. Look, now is going to have to keep pushing. He's 2:08 is his last lap, and that is his fastest lap he has done so far. So definitely some big damage on that. It's not quite GT4 times. It's sort of in the no man's land between the GT3 and GT4s. Flashes there from the Porsche as he dives past another GT4. Cameraman, come on.
A lot of diving today.
The Chris Meadows right on the heel of Jocelyn Merlet here, and looking to get past as soon as possible. Once they've cleared these next two GT4s, they are out of the GT4 field, and it will only be the damaged Luerk and the 620 car.
That would be Clerk.
Of Clerk, there we go.
Yeah, who a good pre-race favorite who is now 3 laps down already.
So McLaren
there. Anyone who wants, if I may, if anyone wants the big picture, so say, please !timings, which will take you directly to our pit wall app.
Absolutely, ! Timings, fantastic app. It's going to show you everything that we can't catch. And you can also have the stream embedded in that, as there is so many cars on this field. Coming up towards Rodrigo Iverson here, the last of the GT4s. This is the leader for GT4, but they're side by side, and that's through Maggots and Beckett's. So very slow through there. That's not somewhere you can normally see this sort of action through. And as we come out of Beckett's and through Chapel, we're coming on to this big straight. With this GT4 just in front of his Porsche brethren and the Aston Martin making it past. Very easy place to pass a lower classes though, so they should be fine through here. Chris Meadows now gonna be able to chug on a little bit further as we have, looks like an incident coming through the sort of middle sector of the lap. We can see it there.
177?
Yep, Mercedes
Ericsson
has spun off.
This is actually his second problem today. He was in the pits earlier as well for a separate problem.
It looks like perhaps in that tight and twisty section in the middle, he was trying to let people pass and didn't manage to do it properly.
Got an announcement. I got an announcement.
Ed?
Clerk has retired. He has given up.
Clerk has given up. Very sad to see one of our drivers out already is Lewis Webb in the Lexus, getting out the way of our leaders through Maggots and Beckett's. Can't get out of the way of the Bentley, unfortunately, and that is going to give Hughes a bit of a time loss. Hughes has got past in the middle of the corner, so not as bad as I thought it would be, but still pulled him a little bit behind Shane Thomas. He also has that success penalty to take for winning the race last time out. Oh, we have a couple of cars having an incident around the GT4s as well.
Yeah, 912 and 789.
Oh, so that's Merle and Meadows have come together. They were fighting earlier for position, and it looks like Merle tried to get back round Meadows, and it has not gone well for him. He is now big far back, but Meadows himself is repassing Bloomfield, which is something we saw him do earlier, so clearly they both lost a lot of time there and have fallen back. Luckily, neither of their cars looks considerably damaged.
I would actually disagree. I think Merle's Porsche, his front bumper is a bit droopy. Although that could just be the car looking like that.
Yeah, a little bit of damage, but I think perhaps not too much more than he had. He's at least not being hugely slowed like that last Porsche we saw, but we're going to have to keep an eye on these two as they can clearly are aggressively fighting for that. This GT4 McLaren getting passed by leaders. Once again, Steve Hughes almost getting caught up behind a GT4 into Maggots and Beckett's. Not where you want to be, but he manages to just dive past this time. Chris Wanzik here. Ooh, taken to the grass a little bit. That's not what you want to see.
It's a Camaro, not a lawnmower.
Absolutely. As he's just getting passed and passed here by the higher class, sort of running a bit on his own back here. Car number 1 of Ian Otley is just ahead of him up the road in 25th.
It just shows that qualifying position doesn't matter, does it?
Not when you have a huge pile up on turn 1, for sure. And Terry now coming up upon the back marker in front of him. You can see his rivals Paul Glover and Benjamin Horia in the cars coming up behind him.
A real broadcaster battle. Blue flags being thrown carelessly around, I see.
Yeah, there's going to be, I think, blue flags pretty much all across this track for the next 2 hours.
Oh, yeah. I mean, dear viewers, if you ever have a problem with obesity, just become a track marshal. You'll be waving that flag all day.
For a big endurance.
Your right arm will be massive by the end of the weekend.
Also, I should have probably showed off this before, but Dan Terry has made slight adjustments to this, so it is a nice fit. We have the lower third is back.
Yay! It even fits with the rest of the graphics. I mean,
fantastic.
We're geniuses. As we get a yellow flag somewhere.
Yep, and right here up at the front, Shane Thomas and Steve Hughes are both caught behind, I believe, is Zach Morgan in that Aston. And very close together now. They had been being pulled apart by some of those back markers, but seems like Steve Hughes has been setting slightly more consistent laps and is now right on the back of Shane Thomas for first place.
In slightly less dramatic news, the GT4 Pro classes, the podium at least, they're very stable. Just maintaining a few seconds between them.
That's Rodrigo Iverson, Florian Louis Paz and Ryan Ware, all very fast drivers in our split. Obviously hanging on there, Ryan Ware holding that success penalty from last time out is going to have a 10-second longer first stop. Ryan Ware here, and the other two cars just up the road. Those are the two cars he is fighting for. Here we actually see the three Aston Martins behind them, is that? The excellent cam work from ACC. Obviously, Hudson there just ahead of Bloomfield, and it looks like a back marker just ahead of them there.
Yeah, I believe that's Zach Morgan again.
So, Ashley Bloomfield looking for the moves. He's coming out of the run here through Aintree, and he actually managed to just squeeze right onto the side of him in Aintree, not giving him much room at all there. Both of them now coming down the straight and into this next left-hander, which obviously Ashley Bloomfield has the line for. Both of them just a little bit of door touching there as they're coming around the side, and now the other car driven by Ashley Hudson has the inside line. This is an incredibly tricky corner, as we've talked about a lot of the time, so either one of them could get a better exit from here. They've both done pretty well, but just the inside line has helped Hudson there. And this means that Ashley has got to sit behind the other Aston once again. And now is basically going to have to wait until Stowe to really get any sort of big go on a move on, because obviously coming through Magus and Beckett's very hard to make a move there.
Also important to notice, Bloomfield has more damage than Hudson.
Yes, definitely visually so. We can see that with his bonnet coming open.
Which is not ideal, so to say.
Bloomfield, though, a very fast driver, so sure he can overcome this as they drive on into that corner. He's going out, being just a bit aggro, try and put the driver in front off of his line. Try to scare him, make him make some mistakes, and give yourself an advantage coming down into Vale now.
We got a red pit stop that I can't explain just yet. Minka Meninka is coming to the pits. Number P7 in the pro class. It does not look like he has damage on him, but he's in the pits at least.
Meninka in the pits and not going to be completing his mandatory pit stop, because the pit window has not opened.
I'm scouting around. I see some minor wear and tear, but not enough to actually break the car. Maybe a suspension damage, but we can't see it.
Absolutely. Very possible that there's something on there as we watch Dan Terry passing some more GT4s into the middle sector. That number 7, it is Steve Hughes off at the loop. So he's lost a load of positions there. Made some sort of mistake. Doesn't look like there is a back marker. 76 there, or is that? Yeah, that is 76. So 76 back marker possibly could have had a collision with him, but could have just lost it himself, as we now see Shane Thomas in the lead in front of, is it Dan Terry? It's not. It is Dan Terry because there's a back marker between them. So Dan Terry up into second place in the Aston. The Victor Yanba there behind the GT4 in his BMW. Steve Hughes is boss in 4th position. He is. Paul Glover is slightly further down the road. So Steve Hughes only actually lost 1 position due to that incident.
And maybe got some brown paints out of it.
Absolutely.
I'd like to mention Martin Roundtree, because he is leading the GT3 AM class. Very solid run so far.
You go, here's Martin Roundtree in the golf-coloured Aston Martin coming through Maggots and Beckett's. Has a couple GT4s to pass. And his next rival, Trifunovic, is just in that pack down the straight. Here is Trifunovic, who just passed a back marker GT3. He is just behind Benjamin Horia, who's quite far away, actually. Coming up into the middle sector here, just past Victor Yanba. Looks like we have another pitter here, that US Porsche has pit.
Yeah, Luca is in.
He's still very much struggling with his pace, and perhaps with such bad pace it would have been smarter for him to come in earlier and change, but just trying to hold it out.
I mean, there's some clear damage on the rear end, so maybe he got rear-ended.
Big
Bloomfield is also pitting. I think Bloomfield had some contact with the Hudson at some point.
Hitting as well, although actually I might have to take back some of what we said, because I can see down the bottom that there are some drivers who have completed their mandatory pit stop. So
yeah, but it doesn't say in our game.
It doesn't say pit window is open, so that has been slightly confusing. But we do have some drivers. Let's head down to the bottom and see exactly who it is who have completed their mandatory pit stops. Lewis Webb in the Lexus, Nicholas Norberg in the Lamborghini. Nicholas Alvarado in the Aston Martin. Benjamin, can't say his last name, in the Porsche. Have all pit. Mika Maninka and Ashley Bloomfield have pit. And
so presumably those who didn't get that one knocked off, they didn't take tires.
Possibly.
Presumably. Which is an embarrassing mistake to make, actually, because
that
some
makes
of these cars could really earn something from it.
That makes the early pitters a little more embarrassing. So there is no pit window. We just had some people mess up their pit stops earlier on in the race. So as we come up to the 2-hour mark, it's a good time to take a little look at how the race is going. So far, we have Shane Thomas in the lead. And Dan Terry right behind him in the lead of our silver class. The leader for AM is Roundtree in 7th position. And then down in our GT4s, we have Rodrigo Iverson, Florian Lupiaz, and Ryan Ware, the podium for our Pro GT4s. Rodriguez, Bradford, and Rayner, podium for our AM GT. Loving to see some of these GT4 specific cars on the podium for their class. Follow one of the guys around there.
No, I'm looking at the wrong guy here. Bloomfield has gotten his mandatory pit stop. So it's Luke. Yeah. People are starting to pit regularly.
Yeah. So, what can happen here? I know a lot of people like to do neat pit stops to try and set themselves up so that they can easily remember where their strategy is. So getting to the hour mark, not surprising to see a good amount of people pit. Also people going for free thirds of the race should be pitting around now, I believe. So that also explains seeing a ton of people pit. I think
actually going out of 10 minutes. I think they were going out 10 minutes.
Okay, just a little bit longer. A bit hard to sort of understand all of the strategy in some of these races because obviously normally you like to pit when you are in a position where you're going to be losing time due to other cars on the track. But in a race like this, you're pretty much always losing time due to other cars on the track. Yeah. So
maybe a few exceptions being, let's say, car number 226, because he basically has a quarter of a track to himself. Yeah,
there are a couple of guys who are running around with a good amount of free air. But not for long, as you will catch the lower class of cars so quickly.
I mean, we already spread out, but some are more spread out than others.
And some who are very not spread out right now are Steve Hughes and Daniel Terry. Steve Hughes obviously having a spin in the infield sector of the track earlier on and is now right up behind Daniel Terry and is going to try and make a move on him as soon as possible, I assume. Both of these guys won their class last time out and so have those 10-second success penalties. So these two are on more even footing than many of the other battles we have seen.
We have another retirement. I'm trying to confirm who it is. Yeah, that would be Ian Utley, who has retired in P34.
Bad to see. Bad to see. Yeah. Ian Utley was...
He had an okay start.
Yep.
After a horrifying qualifying, but... yeah. Well, that leaves us with 33 cars to go. And around, 155 minutes.
Yep, 33 cars to go.
Not 155 minutes, 115 minutes.
We have lost one car from each class.
We certainly have.
So we're going to sit on board with this Bentley as he chases down the second place driver of Daniel Terry. This is Steve Hughes, the winner, overall winner of our last SEC event.
Yeah, Rip at Suzuka. And the adjustment of seats, I guess.
My seat, even though this is a new seat, it's not my new nice seat that I'm planning to get. This is a bit of a makeshift. And so it is just as creaky and squeaky, fortunately. So here we go. That was the dive there by the Bentley. Getting on the inside in Stowe, a fantastic move right in front of the Aston. No need to make sure this sticks at the next corner through Vale, because he's already made it stick into Stowe, and this puts Steve Hughes back up into second position and back into the hunt to chase down Shane Thomas, who is a good 8 seconds ahead of him right now. Shane Thomas already coming through the middle of the track towards the loop. Have a nice little pack here, it looks like. These 3 cars are all actually fighting for position. We have Keith Griffel, Ray God Save the Queen Birch, and Leonard Shungle, the head of our stewards, who are all together on track.
Griffel and Birch should be careful not to fight too much, because they're letting Roundtree get away with it. Roundtree, our leader in the AM class.
Absolutely, these are this is a fight for the podium of the AM class, with Leonard Shungle from Pro getting in the middle of this, as we see a stranded Lexus in the middle of the turn there.
Yeah, number 666.
Only Lexus have on the track at the moment.
Did I say 6? Yeah, it's Hearn. No, that's not Hearn. That's not a Lexus.
Should be Lewis Webb.
I got now information. I think Lewis Webb has taken another Spinella. Yeah, there he is.
Yeah, he's done I think a bit of a on the loose surface, trying to get back on the power too fast, as we see these 3 coming past a GT4 Aston Martin here. It looks like Leonard's going for the move. No,
okay.
Me. Carry on with that word that you weren't wanting to use, my friend.
I just saw something.
You see?
Lewis Webb was stuck on the curb, and he was hit by a car going past him.
Ooh.
Not much Webb can do because he's stuck. But car number 25.
Oh yeah, when you say he's stuck, you really mean he's stuck. He is.
I mean, he
pounding the pedal there. He is fully beached. Oh, he's got himself off.
Oh, it succeeded. He's been stuck there for at least a minute. And
that is
and as
interesting.
I said, he was hit by Adam Rayner a few seconds ago.
I have had this sort of issue myself, getting stuck on the curbs in a similar situation. I actually got stuck on the curbs by the pit entry in Suzuka in a GT4.
Really amazing.
So it's
amazing.
It's a struggle. It's a struggle bus.
It is. Like yesterday, I was playing a rally game, right? WRC9.
Good game.
And I spun sideways into a bridge. A bridge that was as wide as the car was long. And you're just stuck.
Yeah, we were
getting away then.
Doing some big SGP races at some crazy French circuit. 10-minute pole lap, and I managed to get myself stuck in a pond on that one. So you can get stuck every now and again. And a quick shout out as we're talking about SGP. SGP has opened up its doors more globally than just through members of communities like ACCSS. The easiest way to get in would still be to join ACCSS, but if you are interested, there are plenty of other communities on SGP that are also running incredibly fun races. The SGP official community, as it opens its doors to more people, have started to set up daily races to try and get more people going at more times. So feel free to, even if you are an ACCSS member and you haven't done any of their races, check them out on simracing.gp. They're going to have ACC races every day, I believe, along with their regular AC races that they've been doing for a while. So, yeah,
and the
pretty
link
good
is
times.
in the chat now, actually.
Really, the link to our Discord.
I just put it there. As I hope the stream doesn't crash because we're 2 people logged on at the same time, but.
Fine. I believe Dan Terry is logged into this account as well, so it's
yeah, that's true.
It's got some practice at
Now, I'm gonna go back to looking at Webb just because... No, I actually... Yeah, Webb has retired as well.
Unfortunately, lost a lot of time sitting on that sausage, and gonna go have a break and do something else.
If I know him correctly, he's gonna come into the chat, throw some gift subs around. That's usually what he does when he's frustrated.
Yeah.
Also, you see Martin's coming into the pits with a lot of damage to repair. Like, if you go to him right now, I mean...
Yeah,
that's...
That is not a happy bimmer.
Nope. So he'll be stuck there for a while.
Shane Thomas is still out in the lead of our race with Steve Hughes reeling him in. Or not, as the times may be. He's falling back.
I was actually going to say he's losing times.
Yeah, he is losing very slight time. Pulling away from Dan Terry, however, is following him along with Paul Glover, who are the two top drivers in the Silverstone.
Everything is very stable at the moment, as long as no one gets stuck on the curbs again.
Absolutely. Here we have Keith Griffel, who is following Leonard Schungel, who got past him earlier on and is looking to catch up to Ray Birch. Leonard Schungel, one of the pro drivers, is trying to make his way through this field of GT3 AMs, as well as the field you can see of plenty of GT4 back markers. Those two cars at the front who've just left our screen at the bottom are Leonard Schungel and Ray Birch. These two are fighting for position here. Overall position, that is, of course. As they pass the leader of GT4 there.
Did they bite move?
There was quite a tight line there from the McLaren, but he seems to have handled it well. Didn't scrub off too much speed and is still chugging down that straight faster than the Porsche. These two are our closest battle on track as far as I can see. Leonard Schungel is going to want to push up further. He has a fastest lap time than any of these cars around him, so he definitely has the pace within him to make these improvements if he can take the position on track, and that could be an opportunity. Actually held it very well there, Ray Birch. Doesn't lose a huge amount of time, and obviously going into Magnussen Beckett's going to be hard, but we're now coming into one of the easiest overtaking points on the track with Stowe and Vale, so let's see if the Porsche can make it happen.
You still have to catch the man to overtake him.
And that's been made a lot easier there by Ray Birch going off the track at Chapel, setting Leonard loose. And now we'll see how fast Leonard can pull away and pull towards Roundtree, who is his next opponent.
Race yesterday. He
5
did not have
seconds.
A good race yesterday.
Not a good race yesterday. Hopefully he can do better this time. 5 seconds left to pull towards.
I think there is a big pack near Iverson now. Because my display, Pitwall is telling me that he's losing time to UPS and Ware. But the game is telling me the opposite right now. Oh no, it isn't actually. There is a bit of a fight going on, I think. I can verify it. That is obviously the wrong car I'm looking at.
UPS is very close to Iverson right now. There is a GT3 Merc trying to get past them. That is actually Jacob Eriksson, or Jesper Eriksson, who is doing this for position. And then they are just behind, it looks like, Jocelyn Merlet. This battle is going to be made a little bit more awkward by having the GT3 in here. But that Porsche on the right is the leader of GT4, and Lupaz doing a nice move there trying to follow the GT3 through. But it looks like Iverson is staying on the side, not making it easy for the GT3, but this is for position and he is still trying to hold his position, so not an unreasonable move. Another GT3 now coming up, and that's pushing both of these GT4s, or at least the McLaren, to the side. This is very awkward here because it's compromising the McLaren's line slightly, but the Porsche backs out to keep it safe. Coming through Maggots and Beckett's now. Porsche is just going to be very sensible about this. That's Benjamin Dagnot. He's going to let these two fight their way through Maggots and Beckett's, and then he should just pull past on the straight afterwards. See there, out in the background, that's Ryan Ware's Aston, who's just come onto the straight. He is in 3rd position in the GT4 class behind these guys. Oh, that was very close coming there from Iverson. Didn't really give the Porsche in the GT3 any space, but it looks like the McLaren backs out and lets him go. These two still wanting to have their fight for the lead.
Supposedly. All this fighting, it does mean that Ware has actually caught 5 seconds over the last 3 laps. Actually, no, 5 seconds over the last 2 laps.
Absolutely, and he would have had those GT3s to contend with before, but it would have been easier for him to contend with them since he's on his own. Can get nicely out of the way and not have to worry about losing a position. 188, Ashley Hudson. The next GT4 is not too long behind them either. He's just starting that straight now that Ryan is finishing.
Then there is a long way down to Geneva, who is 5th in the GT4 Pro class, but he has a damaged BMW, I'm seeing, so there is that. I think it's damaged.
It looks a little bit damaged. I think he did get involved with some of the fighting earlier on, so I wouldn't be surprised if it was. Yeah, that bonnet looks just a little bit knocked up.
Yeah, I was thinking that.
Not as much as the one we saw last, but still could be significant.
Elsewhere on the track, Vanchek is in the pits now in his Camaro. It's a completely regular pit stop, but I think we're about to see everyone go in because we're 42 minutes through the race, so it's time.
Yeah, we're starting to come up to that point where those running the vacuum strategy, the fastest levels of fuel overall, are going to start coming in.
Rimmel has caught up to Roundtree.
Fantastic. Hop on with Leonard Schungel then. There is that's Ashley Bloomfield in the GT4 Aston Martin just before him as he passes there before Magnussen Beckett's good place to do so. He's right up behind the GT3 Aston Martin of Martin Roundtree. This is the leader of amateur class that is about to hopefully be passed by Leonard Schungel for his sake. Then Leonard Schungel has to set about catching Trifunovic. Trifunovic is going about the same speed, or has about the same top speed at least, best lap, as these amateur GT3s that Leonard has been passing. So he does have a chance to still make up more positions on pure pace alone.
It's going to be difficult.
Yep, he's going to have to keep setting incredibly consistent lap times and not get into any trouble with back markers or lapping lower classes.
I'm seeing a yellow flag, number 323. That Daud Ivanchik, who just got off the pits, and he's had a Spinala.
323 on those cold tires.
Ice cold, and that is probably what happened.
He is right back at the back of the grid.
He was actually just overtaken by Zach Morgan, as we're now getting a penalty here. A drive-through for Hearn for speeding in the pits.
Oof.
Which means that'll be the third time he actually goes to the pits this race.
That's a pain.
Yep, not his day.
GT3 driver well amongst the GT4s. There are a couple of them down here.
Sorry, just interrupting again. And Hearn then crashed coming out of the pit.
Ooh. Yeah, going too fast into the maggot spec. It's complex, it looks like, on those cold tires.
Yeah.
Very easy to do.
We've all been there.
Absolutely.
Is that your second or third cane during this stream?
Second during. I had one before.
Okay.
Nothing too exciting, just some nice refreshing 7-Up.
That's good.
We're not sponsored by 7-Up, but I wish we were.
I also wish many things. Where has... No, Lupias is in the pits now. That is the previous P2 in the GT4 Pro class.
Absolutely, he was the one trying to get past Rodrigo Iverson earlier. Oh, hold on.
I know what you're... Yeah, Schungler's in the pits, yeah?
Jungle is just leaving the pits. I didn't realize that. I saw him dropping and I hadn't realized he was there, so I thought he'd teleported to the pits. But it looks like he hasn't. It looks like he is getting out of the pits safely. Having refueled and set himself up to go about his business. He has now just come out behind Chris Meadows and Jocelyn Mallet.
More importantly, Meninka, who had already had his first pit stop.
Yep, absolutely. Meninka is the furthest forward driver who has already pitted.
More drive-throughs are coming through. Zach Morgan for track cutting. It truly is a party down in the very back of the grid. Trifunovic is in the pits.
Victor Janba also in the pits.
Birch.
How much of his damage he repairs. Shout out as well to Victor Janba for having the ACCSS sponsor logo on his car.
And shout out to Ray Birch for having the Queen. The Queen is stationary. Oh, now she's stationary.
God bless.
God bless. I'm not even British, but God bless. Pitwall is telling... That's the Queen. Pitwall is telling me that Ryan Ware was involved in something, but I can't see it. So that's weird.
Oh, Ryan Ware, yeah. Very battered Aston Martin is coming into the pits.
I think he got that one. And while he's in there, he'll meet Iverson, who's right ahead of him.
With these two pitting, it's going to be interesting to see where Hudson comes out in all. Because he was right behind Iverson and a good bit ahead of Ware, but he has pit a lot earlier.
But he also has a lot of GT3s behind him now. Birch, Jungle, I think Glover too. And they would all be on cold tires except for Hudson.
Yep, Birch and Shingle fighting for position there as they pass the GT3.
4.
Correct.
That is a GC4 indeed. I know my Kahas, apparently. Another incident involving 226 and 3. Event check and car number 226, that would be a really important number if I remember correctly. Yes, Maninka apparently had a touch and go with Vanchik. Well, a minute ago apparently.
So having a look back at our GT4 fight, it looks like Lupiaz completed his pit the lap before and has come out right behind Iverson again, so not successfully making the undercut there. Ryan Ware having lost a few more positions, but two drivers who have not pit yet, it seems. Unless that is accurate, and it looks like it is, he has lost a position to Ashley Bloomfield, perhaps. Ashley Bloomfield, who has a much smarter looking car now, has clearly repaired his damage. And Ryan Ware, it seems like he did the same, and in doing so has lost a position there. Hudson now coming into pit from the lead of GT4. He will be back into the pack.
Elsewhere in the track, the GT3 AMs have been pitting. Roundtree and Merlet. And, well, Birchub is also, which means Riffle is currently leading. Being P6 overall.
Riffle is leading the AMs, and Ray Birch is in second as it is, being hounded by Leonard Schungel.
E3 in the pros, Benjamin Hoyot is in the pits. Which should put Maninka up in third, actually. Maybe it was a really good decision to pit that early.
You see behind this battle, the guys a lap ahead right now, Paul Glover and Dan Terry, who are fighting for the third position there. Looks like Paul Glover got ahead of Dan Terry. Hopefully that wasn't an on-track overtake, because if it was, Paul Glover's going to moan at me for not catching it on the stream.
He shouldn't start. I mean, we've been missing a lot of overtakes in our own stream.
Yeah, it's going to happen when you have a field as big as we have. Huge pack here coming out of Mangus and Beckett's. Going to be fun to see as we see the backmarker GT4 Chevrolet there at the front getting overtaken. He's going to be a bit of a doorstep perhaps for some of these cars. Yes, he's really bunched up the pack there, and you can see Leonard Schungel actually getting tapped by the McLaren, who didn't seem to know he was there. Ooh. But he manages to keep it going over the grass, and it looks like he's going to be ahead of Birch. But then we got Luca here in the USA Porsche, who actually just has to dive out to avoid hitting the Ferrari in front. Oh, that's big hit for GT4s behind as well. We can see the Aston Martin GT3 is, GT4 is off.
It's real racing incident hours.
Yep, so Leonard Schungel is now behind, I believe this is Hamiel. Hamiel getting out of the way as he is a back marker. Everyone else diving past him. A good work there by Hamiel and Paul Glover. who is a lap ahead of, or almost a lap ahead of these 3 cars, but he has not pit, is why he is so far ahead.
Right. The leader in AM, Griffel, is pitting now.
Okay, so Griffel pitting. Leonard has finally completed this journey we've been watching him on for a while, where he's been trying to overtake all of these AM cars. Griffel might be the last one he has to do if he can manage to pit and stay ahead of Ray Birch, but Ray Birch is already coming around the last corner here. Luca, who I believe is a lap down right behind him. Yep, Luca is in 17th place. We're watching 11th, 17th, and 3rd place on the field right now. And there we go. We can see in the pit lane a Porsche moving. That is Griffel. So he's just come out behind these guys. The next,
but still a good position.
Yep, the next ham for him is Roundtree.
I'm interrupting. Glover and Terry are in the pits.
Both of them, yes.
At the same time, yes. This is for the well, this is important.
And it looks like Birch binned it going into that corner, so he's going to fall down a bit.
Yes.
And we now have Griffel out in the pits, just behind Birch. Am I correct? No, ahead of Birch. Where's Round?
Yeah, I mean, Birch just had a spin.
Birch? Oh, so Birch, yeah. Of course. My brain is working. So Birch got out in the lead, but then lost both his positions. So Keith did take the lead and did take Roundtree. And now we're going to head to the pits, check if our other 2 are moving, but neither of them have yet. But Glover looks like he's just about to initiate.
Dan is moving. No, sorry, Glover is moving, and he's going to overtake Dan in a few seconds. Well, now, actually.
Go. So he stayed out ahead, and Dan coming out just behind him, so not losing too much. Really quick into the server here, gets him in that nice position right at the front of the pit lane. Murders that cone on the way out.
Cone head is coming.
So as we are now a good way through our race, Shane Thomas is still in the lead with Steve Hughes barreling down on him in that big boy Bentley. Paul Glover has overtaken Daniel Terry for the lead of the silver class, with Mika Maninka rounding out the pro podium and Chris Meadows in 7th position overall rounding out the silver podium. The AMS has just come to an exciting end for the first round of pit stops, with Griffel taking ahead of Roundtree and Birch, who are the podium there. And then we have, I'm not sure if I can actually scroll this down any further, but we can see that Iverson, Lupiaz, and Hudson are the leaders, the podium for our pro GT4s. And we can just see there Rodriguez, the leader of our AM GT4s, with Bradford and Rayner rounding out that podium.
To say that, I want to bring up something very interesting. P17, Benjamin Dagenot, has just taken his final mandatory stop.
That's very interesting, yeah. So he has a absolute stonker of a split to go. It's gonna be big.
85 minutes on the same tires and same fuel. Maybe he has a plan. You know?
It is at the limit of what can be possible for a single car.
Very limit of what the car can do,
yeah, if he can manage it, it's going to be good. Maybe even planning to do some fuel saving as he goes through. That could jump him up some places if he can do this well and still keep up the speed. If he has to pit one more time, going to absolutely send him down the field. But hopefully for him, he can make something good out of this very counter strategy.
We'll see.
See here, Mika Maninka now having sort of caught up with the strategy of the other drivers. He's right behind Daniel Terry for this 4th position overall.
obviously keeping my eyes peeled on Thomas and Hughes because they'll have to pit at some point. Well, I say that every lap, but...
Yeah, they're dragging out as long as they possibly can. One chunky blue boy overtakes another chunky blue boy in the shape of the Chevrolet.
I'll be honest with you, the coffee I had before the race is not working.
Fortune. As Steve Hughes and Shane Thomas are like looking like they could be one-stopping this race. I know the Bentley easily can, but the Aston Martin, the Aston Martin might be pulling closer to the end of his fuel tank. So he may be forced into pitting earlier. Often what we see is that the leader of the race likes to pit last, because he can make sure that he has a gap to pit into the lead and has the least chance of being slowed down by anyone, or they take their pit stops. And this time that might not be possible because the Bentley has the biggest fuel tank, so he can push it as late as he possibly wants and force Shane Thomas to pit earlier if he's taken enough fuel on board at the start of the race.
But Hughes has that 10-second penalty to serve.
Does. So even if he does that nice strategy, he's not going to make 10 seconds of extra time and will still probably be coming around behind, at least on this time.
I am getting a yellow flag in the massive pack down at, I want to say club, but I can't remember.
Absolutely.
It's Vancheck again.
Yep, check on board from Bradford in the other Chevrolet. You can just see Vancheck coming back on the track.
Actually, can we go to Eldorado around him? There's a huge pack of cars near Eldorado. E15.
Go. You're looking back from Alvarado, we can see a big train of cars. It seems like all of our cars have managed to end up on the track at about the same time here as Alvarado passes the Mercedes. And I think that might be a GT4? That is a GT4. Ericsson is just behind him there in the GT3. Dan Terry getting past that GT4 as well with the small little Wang. Getting out of the way for our faster drivers as Mika Maninka comes in as well, so we again have multiple laps all together on the track here.
Still no pit stop from Thomas.
No pit stop from Ericsson either, or Chris Meadows.
Hughes. But another yellow flag, 259. That would be...
That's Benjamin Horiot, and it looks like there was another car perhaps involved in that incident.
Yeah,
oh, there's a car flipping in the background. What is that? And that looks like Shane Thomas right behind him. Hopefully he wasn't caught up in it.
Well, if I can find him.
79 was just... looks like he's been thrown to the pits. And that is our Paul Glover, who was third position in this race. I'm gonna have to do it. I'm gonna go into the replay, even if it takes us an age.
We'll have to do it, and I will keep an eye out on the pillars. And yes, the ACC replay system, it's slow.
Yeah, if you're wondering why we are not doing custom liveries for next season, that is one of the reasons why. Don't ask me how that happens, but it does. So here we are, following... Oh, and he just spins it himself. He just absolutely bins it coming past the corner and then back onto track. Doesn't hold his brakes and slammed into in the side by another McLaren.
That is unfortunate, but yeah.
Actually, I want to keep looking a little bit in case I saw a car flipping. There we go. That's the car I saw flipping. Good job I remembered that. GT4 Chevrolet hits into Paul as well. And goes over. Now we can get back into the live race.
Hughes is catching up to Thomas a bit.
He did hold his brakes, I'm seeing in the chat. My bad. He just didn't have enough force to actually stop himself and rolled into the track.
I believe Thomas is going to have to pit soon because Hughes is catching up to him. Perhaps the tires are gone.
Unlucky there for Paul Glover. He'd done a good job getting past Dan Terry and had himself up in 3rd place, leading the silver split. But as now...
That now means Chris Meadows is P2 with the silver split, and he has not pitted either.
Yeah, Chris Meadows going for a long first splint, and after these 3 top silver splitters, there was a long gap down until Ericsson and Norberg, and Ericsson hasn't pit either, so the silver split was incredibly wide open. It looks like Paul Glover has given up, which is unfortunate because he could have got back out onto track and still been...
Yeah, not a lot of cars actually in the class, so...
Yeah, he still could have had a good result, but clearly just a bit shaken after that incident and gonna dive out.
It? Yeah, it's Paul. Hi, Paul.
So then...
Hi guys.
Hello, Paul. How are you doing?
How are you doing?
Oh, I'm so annoyed. Yeah, that's infuriating. Sorry to the GT4 that hit me, because I was trying to get out of the way of Shane, and obviously I think the problem there is I don't know if that car came out of the pits or not, but maybe I should have gone forward. Like I was in a bit of a panic, you know. I didn't want to. I'd already been hit by one car. I didn't want to get hit by another car.
Really?
Yeah, I was infuriated because at the start of the race, I don't know if you saw, but I had contact, so I had about 10 seconds worth of damage. So, and I knew Dan had a 10-second penalty, so that was gone for me. Like that evened it out. Yeah, and then I span at one point, another point, and but I blame a back marker for that, Ericsson, in the AMG. He didn't, he should have basically let me pass, and that was his fault for me. No contact, but he was a lot slower, and I think he made me spin. But yeah, that's just unfortunate. So, damn it. That's 2 rounds now I've had to quit out of. So, yeah, I was holding on to Dan with damage as well, which I was quite pleased with. But the problem with it's such a struggle. I kept meeting GT4s at the wrong time, and that is. And you really need to have some patience when you're catching up with a GT4.
There's no right time to meet them, is there?
Well, no, preferably down a straight, but if it's in the slow corners, like the slow sections of the circuit, because the GT3, it just accelerates so much quicker out of the corners, and you're having to go half throttle to not ram into them. And generally, the GT4s tonight, I must admit, were very good getting out of the way. It's just I felt the GT3 tonight let me down. So, there we go. Anyway, I'm going to go and watch the rest of the race now and cry. So
well, cheerio, and
I've got Brad Pass to do later as well. So yeah.
Oh dear.
Yeah. Anyway, cheers, guys.
Cheers. Right.
That was Steve Glover, who just was murdered.
Yeah. And Horriot,
murdered himself, I guess.
Horriot, who hit him, is in the pits now. Still a massive train of cars behind Eldorado, I think. Actually, there are 2 trains, number 444 and 420, are just holding up half the field, apparently.
Yep. Dan Terry, it looks like, is still behind Alvarado. And then we have, that is Merle, who is actually on the same lap as Alvarado, 4th place for the AMS.
Remember, if you think this is confusing, we have the exclamation mark timings. Pit wall.
Exclamation mark timings should help you keep in touch with this, as the sort of other train there was led by Shane Thomas, but that's starting to pull apart now, really, as Drazen Trifunovic is just ahead of a McLaren, but that is a McLaren who is not on the same lap as him. Next car for him is Leonard Schungel, who is behind him. We were talking about Leonard Schungel having to try and catch up to Trifunovic earlier.
And he is actually getting there.
It is happening very slowly. On the last lap, Trifunovic was slightly faster, but not by a huge amount, and overall, Schungel has been cutting down that time.
You know, I have to say, I don't know what is larger, the Aston and Bentley fuel tanks or my bladder. Because, yeah.
Shane Thomas and Steve Hughes up at the front, still not to have pit, as well as Chris Meadows in 5th place and Ericsson in 14th.
These gentlemen, we're halfway. Just pits.
Yeah, looks like Shane Thomas and Steve Hughes unfortunately can't do stop in the middle of the race and then just a splash and dash at the end, because you have mandatory tyre changes at both of these pit stops. So not a lot you can gain by doing a super short last stint, but it looks like these two might be going for it.
They have a plan. I'm sure they have. Ericsson in the silver split is pitting.
And we're watching Terry now following Alvarado, and it is one of those situations where you do think, you know, Alvarado as the lapped car should let down by, but Alvarado is down there due to damage and incidents at the beginning of the race and is setting incredibly fast and incredibly consistent times. Both of these guys' last laps was a 2 flat.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Hughes has pitted. Hughes is in the pits.
Hughes has pitted. We've also had a crash further down the field between Wanzek
and Martins.
Martins in the BMW, both getting involved in an incident down there on the Hamilton straight.
A massive incident.
And 259 has spun himself coming off of that straight. That is Benjamin Horrier. And then Steve Hughes, as Lars informed us, is in the pits. Can't look in front of his car with these cameras, damn it.
Oh, we don't have good angles for that.
So he is giving in early, possibly didn't have any more fuel in his tank. It will be interesting to see what he does from here.
Early, we're halfway through.
True. Earlier than Shane Thomas, at least. He's coming out of the pits now. Shane Thomas is about halfway through the lap, coming through the loop section right now, through Aintree. And there Shane Thomas goes into the pits.
About damn time, to be honest. You know what, I'm going to take a pit stop too, actually. Have fun, I'll be right back.
Absolutely. So Chris Meadows, possibly the only driver yet to have not taken a pit stop. If we look back in the field, we can see them all, and that is it. Shane Thomas is in. Chris Meadows is the last one, and where is Steve Hughes? He is coming around, just passing Ashley Bloomfield in the GT4 Aston Martin, about halfway through the track. I see 98 spun. That is Leonard Schungel. Leonard Schungel going too hard on the exit of the National Straight and has spun around. Luckily for him, unlike Paul Glover, there are not a ton of cars for him to have to avoid, so he can quite easily get back onto the track and start rolling again. But this is going to put big pay to his chase of Trifunovic. He was slowly reeling Trifunovic in, but he now is going to have to start all over again if he even can, because Trifunovic has been on such a close level to him. This might be as far as he can get up, apart from possibly gaining a position when Chris Meadows comes in with his 5-second success penalty. Chris Meadows right here just in front of Trifunovic, I believe. It is Trifunovic in that Audi. The Trifunovic sort of fighting for position here, sort of not, because Chris Meadows has not pit yet. Hopefully for Trifunovic, Chris Meadows will pit, but he's actually going to go for the dive there on the outside. Incredible, manages to hook it round the edge, gives Meadows a little tap, or perhaps Meadows doesn't give quite enough space. But a really nice run there for Trifunovic getting around the edge. Meadows going to stay well wide to avoid getting in anyone else's way as Hamiao and this other McLaren is coming and actually goes wide again along with this other McLaren.
What am I watching?
A lot of X there if that was iRacing. He's been on and off the track coming through. This Trifunovic put a very brave move down on him in the middle of the track. Managed to get around, and Chris Meadows is now rolling. We'll see if he pits because he is the last of our drivers to not have pit. He does not.
That's okay. I mean, it's Chris. I like to pretend Chris knows what he's doing, but I don't know.
He's still going for now.
I love you.
The last person with a penalty. Alvarado and Bossman Dan Terry still driving around together. Just in a nice little Aston formation around here.
Say that 3 people have completed all their mandatories. It's Dagenot, who is on a 90-minute stint. It's Norberg, who just came out. And way back, it's Bradford in his massive and thirsty Camaro. And I'm actually really interested in Bradford because I think he's trying to do an 80-minute stint with a V8 engine. Which I'm not exactly convinced is possible.
Let's hope he can make it for the chunky Chevrolet's sake, because we want to see that Chevrolet nice and far up there. Adam Raynor in the other nice, interesting GT4 car seems to have had an issue because was further up, or is he actually? He's actually second there. We've had a few of the GT4s leave. It seems Zach Morgan is in the pits right now, right at the back.
If I may just interrupt again, I just had a realization.
Yeah.
Did you need it? Can we go back to Raynor? Can you get him from the side or something? Yeah. Doesn't that look like a Dodge Viper, just smaller?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It is kind of like a mini Viper.
Yeah. Wow, I suddenly love the car actually.
It's a good-looking car. I'm a big fan. It doesn't quite have the grunt that you'd expect from a Viper. But
no, but it's the thought that counts.
Absolutely, as Mika Maninka in his Nissan comes roaring past, and as Lars says, Alvarado is in the pits. Chris Meadows also is coming into the pits, so finally we'll have no one with 2 pit stops left. Alvarado has got out from in front of Dan Terry, so Dan Terry can have clean air. Not that he was losing much behind Alvarado, as Alvarado was just as quick, if not quicker than him.
That's in pits. About time. While he's in the pit, I got some numbers for you. Shane Thomas's pit stop was actually a lot slower than Hughes. Hughes had that 10-second penalty he had to serve, but he's only 12 seconds behind, so presumably Thomas has lost, I think, 6 seconds in the pits.
Possibly through repairs. Getting himself nice and ship shape. He's got that clean Aston now coming out for his second stint. Be interesting to see if they do another pit stop. I assume they'll be both running pretty much to the end now and then just doing a last pit stop.
Actually take a quick pit stop now because you still have to heat the tires up.
Yep, that would give you more... it would stop you from having that last lap on cold tires for sure. And again, I feel like you wouldn't want to do that because you don't want to drop yourself back into the pack, but you're sort of always in the pack in these big endurance races, so it doesn't really change that much as we see Thomas getting around Lupiaz. Big pack of cars here. Oh.
Yeah, they like bunching.
They absolutely do. Let's try and find some
Whoa,
names
we had a
in
crash
here.
here. I was just looking at him. Hearn crashed. Actually, that's right in front of you, isn't it? In front of your camera. No, next corner, the Brookfield, whatever. He took out a black Mercedes. Yeah, Hearn and number 555. Yeah, he took out Hamo.
Oh no. There's Hamiel 555. Got a little bit of a dented front now coming through the national pits. With a little bit of a line of cars in front of him as well. These are the cars that we all saw close together. There is Luca, who is right behind Benjamin. These two sort of fighting for positions, although Benjamin has already pit, and so is kind of a lot further than him. And then Shane Thomas obviously stuck right up on the back of this car. At the front of this train is number 75, who is Martin Roundtree, who's up much further than some of these guys, who is second for our AM class.
And hotly chasing Griffle.
Here you see Shane going side by side with Luca, the first of these two Porsches that he has to make his way through. Now diving down the second Porsche giving himself a little bit of a scary situation there with the other Porsche right behind him, but he does have a pit stop on that Porsche. He does still want to hold, they are on the same lap, so they can fight each other here, and he does still want to hold that Porsche behind him as much as possible, so that he can come out ahead after the pit stops, or he's less likely to come out ahead after the pit stops, as we then see the Aston Martin of Roundtree getting taken by Shane as well.
We are now down to 28 cars. Vanchek has pitted the car for the final time and given up due to pedal issues. That actually means we only have 3 GT4 AM cars, being Rayner, Bradford, and Rodriguez, Rayner, and Bradford.
An answer for the chat, as I make the exact same mistake that we made earlier. This is not a close league. We are the Assetto Corsa Sim Series.
Open, actually.
We are a rookie and mid-pack driver league. This is our solo endurance cup, and if you stick around later in an hour or so's time, we will have the pro split of our championship series, our regular championship series, which will have 2 30-minute races at Brands Hatch with live stewarding, and that will be commentated by myself and Daniel Terry, who right now is in 3rd position in this race there. So hop into the Discord, read the welcome page, follow the instructions in there, and you can get yourself into SGP, and then have a look around the rest of SGP as well, because there are plenty of nice communities in there. The official SGP community starting to do a lot more events now that they have opened up to many more people.
Is Sir up yet?
Like Luca fallen quite far behind Benjamin here. About to get lapped by Steve Hughes. Oh no, he does not get lapped by Steve Hughes. It looks like he was following yellows there, and Steve Hughes perhaps didn't notice there was a yellow because he couldn't see the Mercedes through the Porsche. Carries a lot more speed through there and absolutely rear ends the Porsche.
Yeah, that was done pretty.
You don't want to be hit like that by a car as big as the Bentley, as Mika Maninka dives into the pits.
You'll explode. But at least Hughes has a pit stop left. Anyway, before that happened, I got some good news for you.
Ed?
We are currently the leading ACC stream on Twitch.
Why? Yeah.
It's not a big achievement, but it is. I just want to mention it.
Yeah, that happens quite a lot. And welcome and thank you to all of you viewers who have come in here because of that, because you've seen us up there on Twitch. There are a few championships going right now. Not sure all of them are streamed, but I can see from
They
Pitwall
are
there are
not.
a couple of boys. So we hope you enjoy the stream, even if you're not going to join us here. We stream every weekend when we have a championship on, and sometimes during the week if we have any special events. We have a lot of community events that aren't streamed, but you will find some of our members in the Twitch category quite often streaming their own point of view of these races.
I think that's usually just Boone at 6, but he's not here.
Well, there's a few guys, but we do have some streaming on our I and a few others will often stream our AC races that happen on a Tuesday. Good fun happening there. Trying to look for some on-track action right now. We actually might have some here because Hudson is right behind Ashley Bloomfield. This is for the last podium position in the Pro GT4 class. Both Aston Martins. Ryan Ware is also behind them, but quite a way behind them.
And both of which are also quite behind UPS and Iverson in the lead. But not super much ahead.
Is Sarab yet?
I think, half a lap I think actually. As ATC3 just the muscles in.
Yeah, one of the Audis there, I think of Trivanovic. Yep, that is the 2-1-1 of Trivanovic. Doesn't disturb this GT4 battle too much, both these guys still rolling onwards.
I'll just check Discord to see if there's any interesting, fun things to say. Other than a picture of a flipped car. That's beautiful.
Is that the Chevy?
Yeah, it is.
Lovely. Big fan of that. Always like seeing cars on their roofs.
If you want to show the screenshot, it is in the Stewart's chat. I think it's hilarious. You know, while we have a few moments of calmness, so to say, 2nd of January, 3 hours of Solder team event. Still open seats, it's on the Discord.
Yeah, and it looks like Griffel might have made a mistake. We're being informed from the chat that he's been overtaken by Maninka here, and Maninka quite far ahead of him now. See him going wide in the background there in that yellow Porsche. Mika Maninka has done a fantastic job getting caught up in some incidents early, did an incredibly early first pit, and then a very long middle stint to bring him to this last stint now. He's completed all of his pit stops and is in P6. So it's very likely that he's going to come out quite well from this position overall. We have a few people who have already pitted twice, but as we have passed the hour mark, it seems like a reasonable time to go through all of our positions so far. Shane Thomas is still in the lead to Steve Hughes, who had that success penalty from the first race, with Trifanovic in 3rd position for the pro split, 4th position overall. Dan Terry takes the honour of the overall podium with a win in silver class as things stand. Chris Meadows, 2nd in silver split, is a long way down the field in 11th overall, followed by Ericsson in 15th overall for that silver podium. The AM podium, Keith Griffel, Martin Roundtree and Ray Birch much closer, even though they might still be a decent way apart from each other on the track. They are all in positions 7, 8 and 9 and on the same lap. And then we get down to our GT3 podium. Iverson, Lupiaz and Bloomfield, although Hudson is trying to change that, are our top 3 in the Pro. And in the AMs for our GT4s, oh, as we see 2 cars coming around there, Rodriguez and Raynor and Bradford so far. Bradford having already pit, but we've had a couple of GT3s hit each other. That looks like Oliver Hamau was knocked around by one of the other McLarens. I believe Horriot. No, not Horriot. Horriot is
the... I was gonna say the other McLaren is... Yeah, it was Hearn again.
Hearn.
It looked like Hearn, our last place silver driver.
It was Andrew Hearn. Now they're losing a position to, or not a position because he's been lapped by him already, but to the Mercedes there. And Lupiaz is going to have to, or Hamiel, sorry, is going to have to overtake him again, but manage it cleaner this time. Mika Maninka, by the way, is running his fastest lap so far in this race. So great to see the pace still coming from Maninka. Drivers.
O is in the pit. Luca is in the pit. Both at P17 and 18. That would actually be Luca's third stop.
Yep, Luca popping in for damage, it seems, as he has already done his mandatory pit stops. But Horia and Hamiel, along with Zach Morgan in the AM Class GT4, can get their pit stops out of the way now.
I am reading something interesting. I can tell you what happened with Luca because he wrote it in the chat. He changed to wet tires.
Oh, that's not a good one.
That is a really bad idea considering the track is bone dry.
Oh no, that's so unlucky.
Oh, yeah.
Silly pit stop mistake taking him out. Bad to see there as Mika Maninka comes in for his fastest lap of the race so far. A strong 2-minute flat.
We got a fastest lap. 136 is making a yellow flag. 136. That is Luca. Huh. That's 4th time in pits. Or 5th. I'm not even sure anymore. I'm sure he'll tell us.
The fastest guy on track overall has been Steve Hughes with a 1:59.1, the fastest lap. The second fastest lap is actually, as I was talking about him being so fast, is Nicholas Alvarado, who is down in 12th place, but has a 1:59.4, and then 1:59.6 by our leader Shane Thomas. Those are the 3 fastest laps and the 3 only laps to be below the 2-minute mark, although Leonard Schungel made it very close with a 2-minute flat. In our GT4, we still have this battle between Hudson and Bloomfield. This has been consistently going on as they're about to be lapped by our leader. Hudson falling a little bit behind as of now. They've just been passed by a train of GT3s, but if history is to repeat itself, he will be catching up again soon as the GT4 Mercedes just has a little bit of an adventure onto the grass there. That's Rodriguez. Let's hope Rodriguez doesn't get in the way too much. He is a lap down here. He's the leader of our GT4 AM class, so he's not wanting to slow down too much, getting a little bit in the way of the Aston here. But he will let the Aston pass at the next corner, so Hudson still having a hard time with navigating this traffic, but keeping on the back of Bloomfield and keeping this fight going.
Birch has made his final pit stop, coming in at P10, probably coming out at P12, I think.
God bless the Queen. Because Alvarado is already a decent bit down the road. So is Horia. So it looks like he will be coming out in 13th position after it picks out.
It's a good position. Really, I mean, everyone in front of him hasn't pitted, so that is important. As we are now on lap 33. Yeah, 43? How's it pronounced? Did I say 30? 43. Yeah, sorry. We're making a lot of mistakes today, aren't we? Actually, the game says 46, but Pitwell says 42.
The broadcast.
That's because I'm looking at the wrong guy. 46.
There we 46. Go. Yeah, 42 is the amount of laps that the leader of GT4 has completed. Rodrigo Iverson is that man. Leader of our GT4. He's been doing a stonking job up at the front, but Lupiaz is actually still incredibly close. He's done an incredible job following and is actually going to dive in for his last pit stop now. Trying to do a bit of a final undercut perhaps on Iverson, although he's actually going to be running on higher fuel and cold tyres for a bit, so it will be tricky.
But not a bad idea. It is 2 mandatory pit stops, and a lot of people are missing pit stops.
Yep. Mika Maninka is the leader of those who have pit so far. He is the first driver not to be on the lead lap, however, so he was
also the first guy to dive in.
He will not gain a huge amount on some of the drivers at the front, but he may be able to take a position or two when people start pitting, and his pace may allow him to take a position or two more, because he was set back early on in this race, but has had fantastic pace.
I'm interrupting.
Going throughout it.
Keith Griffel, leader in the GT3 AM, is pitting.
Have him in a colourful Porsche. Going to allow Roundtree into the lead for now. Most of the back markers in AM have pit, so it's just Roundtree and Merle to pit after Griffel. These three are having a great fight for the lead of this category.
And they've been switching around for the past 90 minutes. I think our accident tracker is bored because nothing has happened for 10 minutes.
Yep, obviously slowly thinning out throughout this race has been the field, and a lot of them splitting up now, just trying to come home. Not too much racing on track in order for there to be too many incidents.
Yeah, that's very, very interesting. Zach Morgan, who I said retired, has unretired himself and is on the track 25 laps down. But that's not the most important part, because Iverson is in the pits, which I just noticed.
Iverson then pitting from the lead of GT4. Ashley Bloomfield and Ash Hudson in second. Lupiaz obviously having already pit, so where Lupiaz is on the field is the important note, and he is just coming through Luffield as we saw Rodrigo Iverson drop from his jacks and start making his way out. Looks like he's going to manage to make it in front of Lupiaz.
Barely. Geneva from the same class is also in the pits, although he is over a lap down. Ware, who was running for a great position, also a lot far down and still missing a pit stop.
Just checking the map, and I've seen 789 taking an interesting line across the grass.
Well,
Chris Meadows, that is, decided that doing Mangus and Beckett just wasn't for him that time round. He's running second in silver.
Donald is in the pits. He is parking just now.
So he did a good job to get ahead of all of the AM drivers, so he's hoping that he can come out of the pits ahead of Griffel, at least. But there is a lot of these guys who have not pit yet. He's possibly going to get shuffled in behind some of them again, which will be slightly annoying for him. Looks like Griffel might be right up ahead of Trivunovic, so he's trying to get ahead of Trivunovic, and he wants to stay ahead of Griffel. Looks like he's gonna easily get ahead of 2 so far, but Trivunovic obviously still having.
A lot happening. Griffel, maybe? It said he was close behind Alvarado, and that is not really for precision, it's more just... Well, it's a lead. It's a thing.
Yeah,
yes.
He can try and catch up there to fight for 10th, but Alvarado is incredibly fast, so I wouldn't expect him to finish any lower than 10th he is now. Now the battle in GT4 is getting on because Bloomfield has pit. Fighting a lot with Hudson, who has not. So Hudson and Ware both have not pit. Hudson in the lead of the GT4 right now because he has not pit.
Only 1 minute to go. 8 seconds between number 1 and 2. Overall, that is.
Yeah, we're obviously coming to some of the sort of twilight hours of this race. We've got a lot of people spread out. Here we go. Hudson hitting. Something we can have a look at because Bloomfield was just ahead of Hudson before he dived into the pits. Ashley obviously hoping that being in the free air will have allowed him to be a bit faster, pull away from him. But
we'll see.
Yeah, we'll have to see how that works. He's coming down the straight now. Hugo Iverson has now taken back the lead.
One he started with and has held for a long time.
Incredibly good performance from him.
But not very surprising considering he was our very first sprint champion.
Yep, and
or very second, I'm not sure actually.
Second.
Yeah.
Ashley Hudson pulls out.
Dirty car.
And he is behind Ashley Bloomfield.
Trivunovic is pitting. from P4, and
There
that's
we go.
P3 in class.
That's another important one to look at because Leonard Schungel was trying to pull him down right now. Leonard Schungel behind Roundtree again, as I mentioned, because Roundtree has not pitted. But Leonard Schungel has been trying to catch Trifunovic for the last little while. And Trifunovic just leaving the pits as Schungel comes around to the corner. So he's not going to have overtaken, but see how much he's caught by. Or is he actually? Trifunovic had quite a long run to get to the pit limiter. They're actually coming out side by side, and obviously
it's going to be good.
Schungel has the warmer tyres and more momentum into that first corner, so he's actually managed it. Incredible drive from Leonard here, and on those cold tyres that I talked about, Trifunovic sliding off the field. Keeps himself out of the wall, doesn't have to go over the grass. But that's what happens when he was trying to push to keep his position there, and Leonard Schungel is now up into 6th position.
Elsewhere in the world, Dan Terry from P3 is in the pits. Not really being threatened by anyone in his class, so yeah.
But he may lose that overall position as Mika Maninka, who's been doing this fantastic comeback drive right behind Shane Thomas there on the field as they both passed the Ginetta of Adam Rayner. He is coming around to the last corner while Dan Terry is sitting in the pits. Now, Dan Terry does not have the same problem Trifunovic has, where he is a long way out from the pits. So as soon as we see Dan Terry moving, he will be out of there. But Mika Maninka is already around this. You can see his stop has just finished for Dan Terry. There he is coming out, but absolutely not going to keep that position. Mika Maninka with a storming drive up from the back of the field is now coming out into 3rd position overall, as well as 3rd position in his club.
I think Shane has made a mistake up front. He's lost a few seconds to Hughes over the last lap.
Yeah, interestingly, you can actually see Hughes in the shot. Hughes is back there just behind Dan Terry, so 1, 2 on the same lap, and then 3 and 4 on the same lap, but all in the same picture, along with Ashley Bloomfield, who is 4th right now in the GT4 field because Ryan Ware has not pit.
Burley is getting a drive-through for speeding in the pits. He's P4 in AM. Watch P3 before the pits. He won't be that. But behind him we have Degueneau, who is trying that interesting 90-minute stint strategy, which we don't know if it'll work.
Yep, absolutely. We cannot see his fuel levels, so we cannot track it, but to watch for when he has to pit again or runs out of fuel, as we have now a huge percentage of our... What? Oh, okay. I used that. Don't worry. Ignore me. Ignore me. The redeem highlight for message thing tricked me. I thought... I thought the auto mod was asking me to accept another word, and I was like, what part of podium for Nissan is rude? But there is a podium for Nissan as Mika Maninka is bringing one in for the Godzilla fans out here. Rolling it in. Unfortunately, in the blue car, not the red, but going to put one in for Calsonic, clearly.
Obviously. Ryan Ware is pitting in the GT4 AM Pro, sorry.
Hey, that's a good one, because that's going to be our last pit stop in Pro. It looks like him and Rodriguez are our last 2 GT4s who need to pit, and then we will have the whole order of GT4 settled for this last section of the race. Ashley Bloomfield has already passed. Ashley Hudson is already passed. Julio Rodriguez is quite far back, and so Ryan Ware is going to come out in last place for his class, but ahead, or not last place for his class, actually Victor Yanba quite far down with the AMs. He's going to be second last, but ahead of all of the AM drivers.
Okay, here's some numbers for you. Thomas did 36 laps on his first stint. Degueneau, 25 laps, and he's on lap 26 on his second stint. I don't think it's gonna help him. I don't think he's gonna
need to pit again.
Yeah, I think I'm also keeping my eye out for Meninka, who did 31 laps on his middle stint. That might still work.
So, Rob, yeah.
But we'll see.
Sure.
Again, this is thanks to a pit wall, who are now telling when people are pitting.
Yep. Exclamation mark timings in the chat. We'll throw you to our Pit Wall live channel.
Where you can actually see the same stuff I'm seeing.
Yeah, if you're new here, thank you for joining us. ACC Sim Series. This is the Solo Endurance Championship, a 2.4 hour multi-class race that we do about once a month. Later on today, we will be having our pro split of our main weekly series, the penultimate round at Brands Hatch before we take our Christmas break. So make sure to check in for that a bit later.
We aren't exactly doing a Christmas break because we're doing 10 days of Christmas, right?
Yeah, we're doing a Christmas break for the official series. Community Cups, there's no break. It's going to go popping. It's going to be hype. But obviously we'll have a bit closer racing in that split because in the next stream, because it won't be for 2.4 hours. The on-screen Julio Rodriguez, the leader of our AM GT4s and the last of our GT4 cars not to hit. His opposite number Ericsson in the GT4 Mercedes does dive into the pits. And so does
Roundtree
in the
and he is leading the GT3 AM class.
Yep, Roundtree in the Golf-looking Aston Martin. That is not.
That is a weird
angle.
pit stop.
Yeah.
That is not how you pit it.
I do not know what's happened there, but
I think he missed it.
There we go. Now he's in the pits.
There we go. Yeah. That is going to cost 10 seconds.
Yep, that's some time there. The very annoying pit stop movement that ACC likes to do. You see a nice little run of cars here now down the Wellington Straight. We've got Dan Terry just passing, I believe that's Horiot in the McLaren. He is now behind Steve Hughes. That's Steve Hughes in second, a lap up from Dan Terry. So Dan Terry's going to try to follow Steve Hughes. Goes a little bit too far to the inside there to avoid that GT4. Manages to keep it but loses a little bit of time as he's following Steve Hughes through. Steve Hughes and Shane Thomas are two leaders so far, both needing a pit stop for the end of the race. But Steve Hughes, as Lars said earlier, has caught up a lot with Shane Thomas recently. Shane Thomas making a mistake on one of those laps, falling back a lot. And judging by their last lap, Steve Hughes has a little bit more pace right now in this section of the race.
And they are both on almost the same amount of laps, 20 to 21 on their tires.
So both of them going to need a sort of splash and dash, although they will have to take new tires.
So it's not exactly a splash and dash, it's a pit stop.
It's a full pit stop, just with very little, if any, fuel added.
That leaves a question. If Meninka can actually do the rest of the race on his tires, and he might because he's on 29 minutes right now of his tires, he could do it. He could actually challenge for the victory, as crazy as it sounds. Even though he's a lap down.
Yeah, he is a little while down there. You can see Steve Hughes right behind him. That is the car that is right ahead of him in the standings. So depending on the pit stop times and how their paces could come well. Mika Meninka is right now lapping faster than Shane Thomas in first, but not faster than Steve Hughes, who at this moment is one of the fastest men on the track, along with Dan Terry and Leonard Schungel. And there we go, Steve Hughes diving into the pits. Finally.
Only 21 laps. And that would be a bad time to get a drive-through penalty for speeding.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. But Steve Hughes, along with Shane Thomas, very used to some of these longer races, very used to pit stops in their races. So I hope they can do this fine as he rolls into his stop right at the front of the pit lane. So there's not a huge amount of jeopardy with this stop, as we saw Mika Maninka was only just ahead of him. He essentially pit from this gap that we're seeing right now between those two cars, and Shane Thomas, the other side of him, is just ahead of them as well. So all of these front four cars very close together on the track. Steve Hughes is going to come out, and then it's just going to be how fast either of them can catch each other to the end.
This is irrelevant, but Daguno, who I thought was going to try that mega stint, has pitted for the third time.
So Rob, yeah.
So unfortunately, absolutely not working out. Pitted too early for his first couple of stints, possibly due to damage, and is now having to do an extra pit stop than the other drivers. Throw him down from the 13th.
It was a fun experiment while it lasted.
Yep. If he was in the Bentley, he probably could have done it, which is why we have the 2 mandatory pit stops. As much as it is not as fun to have just mandatory pit stops, it also wouldn't be as fun to just have literally every driver in the Bentley so that they can just pit the least amount of times possible.
Oh, he's trying to heat in the tires, that's what.
Yep, a little bit of limiter action there, wiggling about. You see Chris Meadows here behind Oliver Hamiao and Ashley Hudson in the GT4. Actually taps Ashley Hudson and goes round Trifinovic straight into the side of him. And this is Chris Meadows having an absolute mare here. Is now off the track. He's lost his position to Trifinovic. He may have lost a position to Alvarado.
And that's a wall. Oh, and he runs into the wall afterwards as well.
Ooh.
And while that's happening, Shane Thomas is taking the pit stop now.
And that's Merlet coming up beside him, who is a lap behind, so he's just trying to unlap himself there. Luckily for him, Nicholas Alvarado was still quite a way behind him, but that is pretty awkward for Chris Meadows, especially as he has to pit again.
We need to go back to Maninka because he is actually fighting for position with Terry.
Oh, Dan Terry is closing in on the track, trying to take Mika Maninka, who has not been as fast on this last split. He actually had a 2:02.7 for his last lap, so that is very slow for Mika. Possibly a mistake that's thrown him back, and hopefully for his sake he does not feel the pressure of Dan Terry right down his back with the 2 flat that he posted last lap. Steve Hughes then has just come around the first corner and is behind Shane Thomas, who has got out, but just in the back of your picture there, so he can still catch up as Chris Meadows goes into the pits.
I mean, I've been a bit optimistic with saying that Maninka could make it, but it felt good when I said it.
Absolutely, Maninka already doing a great job getting this far up in the order, as they both pass Rodrigo Iverson, our GT4 lead car. Ooh, a little bit wide there for Dan Terry. Manages to hook it up a bit, but he's lost some momentum there. This is Terry's turn to have a bad lap, and Mika Maninka to start pulling out.
Thomas and Hughes had identical pit stops pretty much, and they're back to being 3 seconds apart.
So very consistent from our overall leaders. Before those pit stops, Steve Hughes was setting faster lap times than Shane Thomas, so we're going to have to see how it goes this time. If he can continue to do that and claw away at this lead for the last 25 minutes of the race, or if Shane Thomas is going to hold on to it. Having some trouble with awkward timing for passing back markers now. So 2 flat there from Steve Hughes, a very good lap. Shane Thomas obviously on his out lap, so we can't directly compare yet. But we will see next lap how they are both doing.
Very briefly, I just want to say that Keith Griffel has a solid lead in the GT3 AM class. Lone Sun Majesty, pretty much.
Nico there taking a very defensive line to make sure he stays ahead of Dan Terry. Not sure he needed to, how far Dan Terry was behind him, but also perhaps trying to break the toe a little bit. Mika and Dan Terry very similar lap times on their last lap.
Very similar. 428 giving a drive-through for track limits. That's Zach Morgan again. All of Leonard Schungel's work isn't exactly paying off, as he is not gonna catch anyone on the forefront runners.
He's done a good job though, pulling through the field so far. Started in 18th position, he is up to 5th. He has passed Trifunovic and a lot of the other, a lot of the AM drivers he's had to pass. Nicholas Alvarado also has done a good job coming back after an early misfortune, and Keith Griffel started 19th on the field but has made it all the way up to 8th.
For the people who missed the start, we had 12 cars crash on T1.
Huge pileup.
Including one of our race favorites, Clark, who had to park the car, and Glover, who crashed later. So we have a lot of good guys that actually fallen out.
So we have Horiot here joining this little train of cars now. Just been lapped by the 2 faster guys of Maninka and Dan. Back down in our GT4s now, it looks like there was a mistake made recently by Ashley Hudson, because you can see that Ryan Ware
is actually just the pace, yeah.
Not having a great lap last time, a 2:12.5 compared to the 2:11 flats run by some of the drivers in front of him in that class. He's now getting also pressured by a GT3 Aston Martin who wants to lap him.
You're getting pressured by some hiccups.
And Ryan Ware is now trying to pull up behind Bloomfield, although he has a long way to go to do that.
And not a lot of time, only 20 minutes.
This is for 4th position in GT4 right now. Ashley Bloomfield holding the last position on the GT4 podium.
Rodriguez in the GT4 AM just went off track. On a fast place. I mean, he lost a few seconds, but that's all.
Yeah, Rodriguez has been a little bit messy a few times, but has just had such a better pace than a lot of the other GT4 drivers that he's managed to stay.
Better luck too.
Yeah, managed to stay in front of these guys. Oh, Dan Terry going for the move there in an incredibly ambitious place. Trying to dive into Chapel. Must have got a much better run through Maggots and Beckett's and is now just ahead. But going into a position of the track where it's much easier to overtake. Perhaps Mika Manika can make it back. He's going around the outside, so he hasn't done super well there.
Gonna be a slingshot, right?
Yeah, he might be able to get a better run of it out here. He's looking around the outside again and isn't going to dive for the inside, so not going to be able to do it there. Mika Manika now sitting just behind Daniel Terry, who has retaken podium position in this race.
Well done. The conclusion about Hughes is that he is faster but more inconsistent than Thomas, and that's why he's not catching him yet.
Absolutely. Talking about inconsistent, Upiaz makes a little bit of a mistake there, but still following Iverson behind in second for the decent run from him overall. And he's got quite a while back to the next GT4, so he can afford to make a few small mistakes in the last sections of this race where we do not have a lot of on-track action.
Oh, it is mostly a matter of waiting now. Waiting and not making mistakes.
Zach Morgan coming in to clear his stop go 20, stop go 30 that he now has.
Amongst other penalties.
Yeah, had an unfortunate race for him. It's going to leave him right down at the bottom of our field.
He did quit and came back. Which is interesting.
That is true. He is actually 20 laps down. He quit earlier and came back. So he has actually made up a couple of positions by coming back, coming over some people who were left after he did.
He is somehow P4 in class. And to think, if I had actually been in this race, I could have been a podium finisher. Since I was supposed to race in the TC4 AM class. Although that ain't happening today.
Could have also been horribly murdered in a first lap incident. So
yeah,
it could go either way.
Everyone could have been killed.
Yep, that is definitely true, as Dan is starting to stretch a little bit away from Mika now. He has not been able to keep up those consistent lap times as he did before, since he's been pressured by Dan. I'm going to call Pavel out for cursing this one by getting excited too early about a Nissan podium.
Yeah, Pavel, why would you do that? That is actually catching Ericsson in P15.
Yep, we have an on-track battle.
Oh wait, you're already on him, sorry.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd only just moved to him, so perfect timing as we get into the an actual on-track battle here as the Porsche is right behind the Mercedes. Mercedes obviously with a lot more chug down the straights, but the Porsche a little more nimble. So we'll see how these two can match up here, both in yellow. Both going a little bit wide here, so clearly feeling the pressure here. Mercedes driver going into Maggots and Beckett's. Porsche pulling up closer to him. There he is. It looks like Ashley Bloomfield in the GT4 Aston Martin, who's just ahead of these guys.
Yep, he sure is. Not that it's gonna matter, because they're already past him.
Well out. Nice run through that corner by the Porsche as well. Can get on to the power earlier than the Mercedes as he's going offline, and the Porsche very early sticking his nose in but not going to make a dive. Just sticking right up behind the Mercedes here. Mercedes having a much nicer time through club. Through the Hamilton straight, the Porsche starts to catch up again.
His nature.
Going to be a nice section for the Porsche here. There's going to be a good run for the Merc trying to get down out of loop, but he hasn't taken a good line through loop, so that's going to even things out a little bit. Through Aintree, hopefully the Porsche can catch a good draft down the hangar straight. Not really gaining on him there, unfortunately.
Well, he's trying an aggressive move, but there's that.
Mercedes there.
Nope.
A little bit wonky coming out of the back of that corner. Hasn't used all of the roads that he can on Luffield, so it's going to be just a tiny bit slower again, but that tiny bit of less speed isn't enough to get past in an area like this, which isn't great for overtaking. So the Porsche and the Mercedes are going to be going again.
Elsewhere in the track, Schungel is now a lap down as he was just taken over by Shane Thomas. "11 minutes to go. Only one mistake away from a victory or defeat."
Absolutely. Our last GT3 battle here is coming through the middle of the track again, passing Adam Rayner in the Ginetta.
Yeah, British Viper.
British Viper. Our other battle on the track is obviously Mika Maninka, who is still following around Daniel Terry.
Oh, no, never mind. That was wrong guy I was roaring for. Bloomfield just got a drive-through. That is number 3 in the GT Pros.
So Bloomfield is likely going to lose his penalty due to that. Just track cutting a little bit too much at the end of this. Obviously, some of these positions could also change later before the points are sorted due to the post-race stewarding that will be happening for this race. Normally, for our main championship events, we have real-time stewarding, which is a fantastic inclusion. Not quite enough stewards on the day to do both races.
Where does he come out? Where does Bloomfield come out? Too far behind. He's actually overtaken by Hudson as well. Which means Ware is back in third.
We get the three Aston Martins here. Hudson, followed by the GT3 of Shane Thomas, followed by the GT4 of Ashley Bloomfield. As they come through Magazine Records. Yep, Leonard Schungel trying to get some overtaking done here as well on the slower classes.
A lot of traffic right now. Hughes is only 4 seconds. Yeah, around 3 seconds actually behind.
Ooh, and Ashley just having a little bit of a slide there. Gonna have now the Bentley of Hughes bearing down on him. So this has given us a third battle on track, but oh! GT4 of Hudson there doesn't see the Bentley coming and turns in on him. Doesn't quite give him enough space to dive in on there as Hughes was trying to be pretty aggressive with his lapping there. You have a Lamborghini in the background.
Hughes for that one. I would blame Hughes for that one. That was too aggressive.
Definitely say that was way too aggressive, as you now have these two Aston Martins nice and close together again, going through loop. Benjamin Dagnall has unfortunately fallen back from Ericsson. Up at the front, so has Mika Maninka from Dan Terry right now.
But Mika is on lap 27 of his tires, so, and Terry is only on 16 laps.
So a bit better state there in the tires as we watch Norberg taking over the two Aston Martins. Bloomfield with his car right up the back of the other Ashley.
Still only one big mistake away from everything changing. Nothing says that Thomas cannot have a big crash in a few seconds. Well, except for the fact that there's no traffic for him, but...
It's unlikely, but it could definitely happen. We've seen people like Paul Glover binning it by themselves earlier in the race.
And flipping someone else's car somehow.
Yeah. Actually having a really nice run through the infield section here, getting a good run out of loop right on the back of this other Aston Martin. Through Aintree, a little wide there, but still on the green, a good green. Oh, gonna have to come out quite early there, because otherwise he would have tapped the back of the other Aston Martin. Just not late enough on the brakes to get past, although the other Aston Martin might have outbraked himself there by throwing himself too deep into the corner. Hudson there is now behind as they both pass Victor Janba, is a lap down from them. Actually, Bloomfield, after that drive-through, has managed to get himself back into third position.
No. He
Oh,
definitely
no.
hasn't because Ryan Ware is in front of him.
Ryan Ware is ahead. How far ahead is Ryan Ware? Ryan Ware is quite a bit away, so it's going to be... You can just see the two battling Astons in the background. It's going to be a lot of work for that to happen. It looks like Ryan Ware might take the third position, actually. And Hudson and Bloomfield, who were fighting for third position earlier in this race, are now fighting for fourth.
But sometimes life isn't fair.
Have a look at some of our old battering rivals, see if any of them have come together again. Benjamin Dagnau is still chasing down Ericsson, but not in a good position to have a real fight at him. Mika Manika is a little bit closer to Dan Terry. Has to get past the Chevrolet, who goes nice and far off track in order to let that be as easy as possible.
Almost goes into a wall there.
Yep. Oh, as we see a drifting GT4 in the back there. That is car number 428, Zach Morgan.
Sexy.
Having some fun drifting about.
Zach Morgan having an interesting race. Bradford, who we dealt with before, right? Is on lap 35 in a large V8 engine.
Oh yes, Daniel Bradford, who is having a very long stint for such a thirsty American muscle car.
1 hour is 17 minutes right now. So he might actually make it despite going half the race in one tank. That's pretty cool.
Nice to see him chugging along in the big American boy there.
Chugging along to a second place in this class. Right. Hughes is not catching up on Thomas, so I'm starting to think this is over.
Yep, for the lead of the race it might be. Hudson is still trying to give Bloomfield a good fight for fourth position, but that is the only battle that is still going on in the race so far.
Then a minute left. Have we got it? No, we're gonna get one final lap. As Mr. Thomas is over the line for the last time. A penultimate time.
Absolutely, once we've seen them come through this possible overtaking zone, although it looks like Hudson is pulling back a little bit, we can sit with our leader, Shane Thompson, going to be now coming across to win the second round of the Solo Endurance Cup. This is going to give him a 10-second success penalty in the next race.
And if you don't think that's important, Hughes, who is only 7 seconds behind, started with that 10-second penalty.
Yep, so without that, there could have been another win on the hand for Steve Hughes, who will go into the next race with only a 5-second penalty, but reasonably up on points. I have a look at the sheet to see which one it will be. The next round of the Solo Cup will be held on, I believe, the 3rd of January, and this is a good one, Lars. Going to be at Bathurst.
Yeah, I gotta wash my hair that day.
They're going to be going up and down the famous Australian mountain for 2.4 hours. Big hyped to see that one. As Shane Thomas will have a 10-second success penalty at one of his favourite tracks as he comes around to win this round 2.
A very solid run, not many mistakes.
Gonna be
He survived
hard.
the big start crash, and it is checkers, checker flag.
Oh, actually a crash there we just saw in the background.
Meadows. Oh.
Meadows getting killed right before the end. 62 actually just diving, 62 diving into the pits there, just giving up on the last lap. As we look back towards the people who have finished, Shungle has come across the line. Horiot has already come across the line. Rodrigo Iverson still has quite a way to go. Adam Rayner coming across the line to take third in AM. Rodriguez has a ton of time to come. Dan Terry actually still hasn't come across the line either to win silver. And Griffel. So it looks like the order will be Dan Terry will be the next one coming across the line to win the silver split.
Very solid win because there wasn't that much competition for him.
Nope. And a third place overall, so coming ahead of a lot of the pro drivers in this split. A fantastic effort, Mr. Dan Terry. I'm gonna make sure my webcam is set up again.
You know what, that's a good idea. I should probably do the same thing.
Gotta prepare for the end of the race.
Of course, we need to look sharp.
Yeah, and here we go. Dan Terry has crossed the line. Griffel should be the next. Griffel now coming across to take the win for AM class.
Meadows being the last one on track.
Yep. Iverson has already just come round to take in the win for AM, and Rodriguez taking the win for GT4 AM. So
That was a race, all right.
that was for sure a race as we head over to the post-race window. We're not going to do the podium today because obviously there are so many different classes and such. We couldn't have 5 different podium screens and go through them all. It would take us far too long.
But
Thank you.
Do a couple of links here.
Oh yeah.
Discord link.
Discord link. Get signed up if you want to come and race with us for a future event. We have
plenty of races to go.
but all the time. Obviously, the main championship series is coming up to its last week next weekend. Suzuka will be our last races there. We have the Audi TT at AC on Tuesday. Then on Wednesday, we have the team championship. In the team championship, we're going to be at Monza. No, Monza we already had. Zolder, right? It's one of them.
Yes.
It's a good track. Zolder. It's going to be fun. That's team championship. If you have a friend who you want to race with also, you can go to that. We have here...
my face.
Your face is actually now the list of the 10 days of Christmas. 10 days of Christmas. I'll go through it quickly so we can get Lars back. Starts on the 20th of December. Runs through most days until the 3rd of January. Obviously on the 28th, we're going to have our AC night. And then we're going to have the 3 hours of Zolder on the 2nd of January. The 3rd of January, the last day of our 10 days of Christmas, is the Solo Endurance Cup Round 3 at Bathurst. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Been a fantastic little event we've had here.
Yeah,
and the service changes over.
If you're bored, of course. In an hour, you'll be back, Gareth.
Yes. We have the Pro Split round 3, the penultimate round at Brands Hatch. Dan and Terry will be bringing you that along with me, Dan Terry, the winner of Silver Split here, as you look at the results. So yes, had a good day. It's been fun. Had some new people around. Have Pitwall Live obviously going, which is always good to see our new thing working and doing well. Do you have any other thoughts about the race? It was fun. It got a bit dry at the end, obviously, but that can happen with these longer events. We had a big crash early on.
I mean, we just had the clean race except for the big one at the start of the race. So
The big one.
let's just be happy about this, right?
So thank you, as I said, everyone for watching. I'm gonna throw you to some highlights and then get some food in me in preparation for the next event of today. See you later.
Bring the smell of rain into my bed and lie so close to me. You could be inside my head. Maybe it's a once in a lifetime kind of thing to feel the kind of magic that you're like.